Let us pray. Almighty God, who in wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests are connected to our church. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
That communication will come a little later.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Honourable members, standing order number 225, subsection 2, clause B, paragraph B, requires the Speaker to report to the House any petition other than those presented by a member. I therefore wish to report to the House that my office has received a petition submitted by one Caroline Ajuang Oreng, a counseling psychologist from Kisumu. The petitioner makes reference to the Mental Health Act, which provides for the care, management, and control of persons suffering from mental health illnesses. The petitioner is concerned about the increase in mental health issues that are manifested in society through murder, suicide, rape, drug abuse, and other delinquent misconduct. Honourable members, the petitioner claims that these social misconducts originate in our schools and homes and proposes that mental health care should be introduced at the formative stages of an individual to ensure that the mental health of upcoming generations are taken care of. The petitioner further avers that there is a section of the general public facing mental health issues and lack the financial capability to visit a private institutions to receive the appropriate medical attention. Honourable members, the petitioner prays that the National Assembly intervenes to ensure an increase in the number of counsellors in government institutions to provide care to citizens who cannot afford to pay for the services offered by private institutions, employment of professional counsellors in schools instead of having guidance and counseling teachers, so that the counsellors can fully concentrate on children's mental health and introduce counseling for child offenders without necessarily subject them to jail terms. Now, members, pursuant to the provisions starting under number 227, this petition therefore stands committed to the Departmental Committee on Health, and the committee is requested to consider the petition and report its findings to the House and the petitioner in accordance with standing order number 227, subsection 2. Thank you, members.
Order number 5.
Sorry,
Papers.
do I say that there are some members who want to make some comments? Among the member from where?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I stand to support that particular petition, Mr. Speaker. And in this very House, we have had a number of motions reading to the same or suggesting the same, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I would urge the Committee on Health to take that particular petition seriously and consider it alongside other motions relating to counsellors out there. Having a narrow education on some of these psychological problems would help our society to grow in a healthier manner, in a better manner, and avoid some of the things that we are seeing in our society presently, Mr. Speaker. I stand to support.
Member for Kadhiani.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. I also rise to support this petition. Speaker, I have been pushing payment for parents and guardians of a school where their children burnt a long time ago. And Speaker, when you look at this petition, basically it actually does tell us that there are issues to do with their mental health that makes people commit some of those crimes like arson in schools. So I think this is an important petition and needs to be expedited so that Kenyans can also get value from this House. Thank you, Speaker.
Member for Igembe Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to the same. Mr. Speaker, even in the 11th Parliamentary, we had a motion which was driving at the same issue, Mr. Speaker, and there have been several subsequent motions, Mr. Speaker, and therefore I would request the committee when they sit, they seek all these motions and what was the conclusions and how they went so that they can put them together. But the bottom line, we really need these counsellors in our schools. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Endebess.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support this petition, Honorable Speaker. I remember last week this House passed a motion which seeks to introduce mental health at the primary level of education so that it becomes part of the education curriculum in this country. Honorable Speaker, cases of mental health or even issues of femicide, issues of people committing suicide and other issues, these are issues that needs a serious discussion, especially if counselors can be introduced so that people have access to counselors. I think it is important that the Committee on Health takes this matter as a matter of urgency. And there's also been a bill, Honorable Speaker, on mental health, which has been pending before the Committee on Health. And this bill has not been able to see the light of this House. It's a government bill that has not been brought here. I remember in the 11th Parliament, in our committee, we tried to have that bill, and there were some petitions which made the bill to be withdrawn. So we are hoping that this is something that should be discussed, and the mental health is actually something that needs to be given priority. So with those few remarks, I support the petition.
Possibly the committee should consider the petition alongside the bill you have mentioned. Yes. It might be useful to inform the petitioner is merely seeking actually maybe the introduction of that in that bill. May be helpful. Member for Kimilili.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I also support this petition and urge the committee even to go beyond and maybe look at a way of ensuring mental checkups to be mandatory for all Kenyans, because we are losing very many Kenyans on suicide, Honorable Speaker. So this is a very important petition, and I support, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Member for Tigania West.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice to the others who have spoken to this, Honorable members. Honorable Speaker, we realize that on many occasions, people do not know that they have a mental problem. And if it is captured early and followed up, Honorable Speaker, it is going to be possible for us to quantify the extent to which one is suffering, and therefore we'll be able to counter this or take care of this early enough. So, Honorable Speaker, I support. Thank you very much.
Very well. The petition refers then, now it stands committed to the Departmental Committee on Health. And if the committee is so minded to consider that petition, including inviting the petitioner to make her representations and any other appropriate stakeholder, while also at the same time considering the bill, the mental health bill that the Honorable Pukose referred to. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Leader of the Majority Party.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, July 3rd, 2019, in the afternoon sitting. The list of nominees to fill vacancies in the National Government Constituency Development Fund Committee in the following constituencies: Jomvu Constituency, Ndiwa Constituency, Nyando Constituency, Mandera East Constituency, and Embakasi Central Constituency. Number 2, the report of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the year that ended 30th June 2018 and the certificate therein: Veterinary Medicine Directorate, Veterinary Service Department Fund, Lands Limited, Kenya Plant Inspector Service, Prisons Industries Revolving Fund, Regional Center on Groundwater Resource Education Training and Research in East Africa, Kenya Sese Eradication Council, Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation, Nakada Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund, Independent Police Oversight Authority, Non-Governmental Organization Coordination Board, Egerton University Investment Company Limited, and Petroleum Training Levy Fund. Third, the report of the Auditor General financial statements of the Small Enterprise Finance Company Limited for the year ending 31st December 2018 and the certificate therein. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Chairman, Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Wednesday, July 3rd, 2019, afternoon sitting. Reports of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on its consideration of 1, the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2019. And number 2, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission amendment. Number 3, National Assembly Bill number 35 of 2019. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman, Departmental Committee on Labor and Social Welfare.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, July 3rd, 2019, afternoon sitting. Reports of the Departmental Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. 1, the Industrial Trading Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2019. 2, the Employment Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 15 of 2019, and the public petition regarding the dismissal of ex-Corporal Benjamin Chelanga by the Kenya Defense Forces. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman, Departmental Committee on Energy. Vice Chair, Honorable Bukose.
Honorable Speaker, I wish to table a report on the public petition number 3 of 2019 regarding coal mining activities in Mwingi East sub-county of Kitui County. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairman, National Government Consumer Development Fund Select Committee. Yes, Honorable More. Please, your account. Please.
It's not picking. Oh, yes, now it is okay. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following report on projects, proposals, approvals, disbursements, status, and restrictions imposed on constituency accounts for the third quarter of the year 2018-2019 financial year as at 10th of June 2019, on this day, July 3rd, 2019.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Honorable More.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that pursuant to section 43(4) of the National Government Constituent Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraph 510 of National Government Constituent Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approves the list of nominees to the Njomvu constituency, Ndiwa constituency, Nyando constituency, Mandera East constituency, and Embakasi Central Constituency Committees of the National Government Constituent Development Fund, laid on the table of the House today, Wednesday the 3rd of July 2019.
Very well. Leader of the majority party.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 28(4), this House resolves to alter its calendar for the third session of the Assembly 2019 as adopted on February 13 of 2019 by proceeding for a short recess on Friday, July 4th, 2019, and resuming its regular sittings on Tuesday, July 23rd, 2019 at 2:30 p.m.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
First question by the member for Tigania East, Honorable Ichunge. You what? question, the Honorable Josephat Gechunge, commonly known as Kabeabea.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask this question this afternoon. And I rise to ask question number 312 of 2019. And this question is directed to the Cabinet Secretary, Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Irrigation. And the question goes, could the Cabinet Secretary state whether cat, which is popularly known as miraa, has been categorized as a scheduled crop as required by the Crops Act 2013 and the Crops Regulation of 2015? And I further ask, what measures is the ministry putting in place to secure local and international market for the said crop? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, a question referring to the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock to schedule when the Cabinet Secretary will appear before it. Next question by the member for Bomachoge Chache, Alifa Miruka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. I rise to ask question 314/2019, directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination for National Government. And it goes, could the Cabinet Secretary provide a status report on implementation of the Kenya Gazette notice on 21st June 2017 on the establishment of the following areas, namely Rianchogu, Eburi, Getare Township, Itare, Kemboa, Muobo, Nyagesa, Nyagenke, Nyataro, and Nyamibo sub-locations. Also, Nyansara, Kineni, Mangere, Kiragi, Misesi, and Bionga locations. As administrative and service delivery coordination units in Neguja sub-county, Machoge Charge Division of Machoge constituency. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Very well. Provided some little bit of comical relief. But the question is referred to the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security. I'm sure the Cabinet Secretary will be able to pronounce those names properly, like the member has ably done. The next question is by the member for Garsen, the Honorable Wario Guyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raise to ask question 315/2019 to the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife. Number one, is the Cabinet Secretary aware of a presidential directives in 2016 urging all parties concerned to open the Galana watering point corridor in Garseni constituency for access to water by livestock and wildlife? Number two, is the Cabinet Secretary further aware that the continuous closure of the corridor is a source of perennial conflicts between the pastoralists and the Kenya Wildlife Services, KWS? Number three, what action the ministry has taken to ensure that the corridor is reopened in order to resolve the escalating conflicts between the pastoralists and KWS in light of the fact that the Agricultural Development Corporation, ADC, Galana has opened its side of the corridor? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, question referred to the Committee on Sports, Culture and Tourism to prioritize. Next question by the member for Saku, Honorable Russell.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask question number 316 of 2019 to the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife. Is the Cabinet Secretary aware of rampant and continued human-wildlife conflicts in certain areas of Saku constituency, close to the Marsabit Game Park and Game Reserve, without adequate intervention from the ministry? Second, could the ministry state the number of deaths, injuries, and destruction of properties reported since 2012, and further confirm the number of deaths as a result of human-wildlife conflicts in Saku constituency that have been compensated so far, as well as pending cases? Third, what short and long-term measures are being pursued by the ministry to address the rising conflict? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
This one, it will be responded to before the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. Last question by the member for Meru County, the Honorable Bishop Kawira Mwangaza.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question is number 317 of 2019 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning. Is the Cabinet Secretary aware that a number of residents of Meru County have never been compensated for the land acquired for the construction of Isiolo International Airport? 2, within what specific timelines is the ministry intending to compensate these residents as well as address related land issues in Meru County? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question referred to the Committee on Lands to arrange when the Cabinet Secretary will appear. Before we go to statements, honourable members, allow me to recognize the presence in the Speaker's Gallery of the following guests: NYS trainees from NYS headquarters, Ruaraka constituency, Nairobi County. The member for Ruaraka constituency, the Honorable TJ Kajwang, is happy that his constituents are present. Those from Springs High School, Rongai constituency, Nakuru County. Those from Naivasha High School, Naivasha East, Nakuru County. Riara University, Langata constituency, Nairobi County. PCA Imani Kibwezi Primary School, Kibwezi East constituency, Makueni County. And those from St. Pahita Girls, Kiangini, Makueni constituency, Makueni County. They are welcome to observe the proceedings in the National Assembly this afternoon.
The Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury should ensure that 4,976,750,000 are remitted by the Treasury and owed to National Government Constituent Development Fund Board is provided for in the year 2019-2020. And that the National Government CDF Board should fast track and submit to the National Assembly a comprehensive list of all incomplete projects countrywide, clearly categorizing those that have stalled because they either lie in the category of devolved functions, were initiated without authority of the board, or were underfunded, among other reasons. 4, the board should come up with punitive measures on the constituency committees with low absorption. 5, the board should also enforce clearance of outstanding issues as a prerequisite for processing requisition for funds for subsequent financial years. And finally, the board should come up with remedial measures on how to enhance timely submission of project proposals and absorption of funds. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for, I can see members with this intervention. Member for Igembe South, John Paul. What's
Thank you,
your
Mr.
intervention?
Speaker, sir. I wanted to seek for your guidance, Mr. Speaker. There is a question which has question number 116, 2019, seeking an advice from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There is a young gentleman who was arrested in Mumbai, India, on 28th last.
Who made the promise to you? Perhaps you could seek a statement on the promises that were made to the members from Northern Kenya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well.
Awesome.
Next order.
Order number 8, motion, report of the Committee of the Whole House on the President's reservations to the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2019. Question to be put.
Order members, including the member for Mbaka South. You can sit next to the member for Game. He's not a very harmful person. If you, you can sit next to him and whisper to him. Yes, I can see you are now very comfortable with him there. Honourable members, debate on this motion was concluded yesterday when the Committee of the Whole House considered the President's reservation. And having confirmed that the House has the requisite quorum, I proceed to put the question. And the response here, in the event that people have intentions of negating the President's reservation, you are at liberty to rise in your place, seek for a division, and ensure that at least you have not less than 233 of yourselves present to carry the motion. So it is not a matter, this is not so much the matter of who shouts loudest. Notwithstanding the voice votes, there must be requisite numbers. Therefore, honourable members, I proceed to put the question. And this House do agree with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the President's reservations to the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2019. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say of 2018? Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it. It's for third reading. Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Kenya Accreditation Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2018, be now read a third time. I also request Honorable Gikaria, member for Nakuru Town East, to second.
Honorable Gikaria.
I second.
Very well, honourable members, I propose a question, which is that the Kenya Accreditation Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2018, be now read a third time. Desire of the House, I put the question, and having confirmed that there is still quorum, I therefore put the question, which is that the Kenya Accreditation Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2018, be now read a third time. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of Parliament to establish an accreditation system, establish the Kenya Accreditation Service, recognize the service as the sole national accreditation body, and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 10, approval of the mediated version of the Irrigation Bill 2017.
Is the leader of the majority party?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provision of Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 150, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Irrigation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2017, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019, and approves the mediated version of the Irrigation Bill. Honorable Speaker, allow me first to give a brief background to this bill. This bill, number 46, seeks to provide for the development, management, and regulation of irrigation to support sustainable food security and uplift our socio-economic development in our country and for all connected purposes. Mr. Speaker, the bill also seeks to repeal the current Irrigation Act, Cap 347 of the laws of Kenya, which commenced on 24th June 1966. So we are dealing with a very old, archaic, close to colonial legislation. So once the president put his signature on this bill, then that old Cap 347 is repealed. So Speaker, this bill was read for the first time, and it has been between the two houses. One time it died in the Senate, now we have revived, then we went to mediation. So it's a bill that has been in the corridors of Parliament for a long time. And then subsequently now, pursuant to the provision of 110(4) of the Constitution and Standing Order of the National Assembly 142, it is here today. Speaker, we have considered the amendments forwarded by the National Assembly and rejected some of the amendments by the Senate on the 14th March. And that led to the mediation process, which today, after a very long negotiation, I'm sure the members who were in that committee, like the member from Where, agreed on a version that is agreeable to all of us, which can be presented to both houses for approval. Because the irrigation bill is a very, very key, important bill, not only for government, but for the people of Kenya. Speaker, I'm happy to report that the mediation committee held fruitful deliberations and was able to develop a version for the bill that was agreed to by both houses. And I really want to single out the senator for Embu, who was a leader of the team from the Senate, a former minister for cooperative, because under the irrigation bill, he made our life very, very easy compared to what we went through in the roads bill. In the land index, Professor Uda is smiling. He knows what the hell we went through in the land index and the land and the physical planning. So this one we had an easy time because we had a very good chair and the team. In only one sitting, so Speaker, we agreed on everything. Speaker, clauses in contentions were clause 6, 9, 14, 16, 17, 20, 25, 34, and the schedule to the bill. And in our report, if members can have a copy, we have annexed the mediated version of the irrigation bill, and the bill is much better than the earlier one. An agreed version was arrived at after consensus with our counterparts in the Senate. And Mr. Speaker, I am sure I can give if you allow me, I'll give you highlights. Under clause 6, the Senate have proposed amendments to subclause 1 to provide for the Cabinet Secretary consult the Council of Governors in regulating irrigation development. I think that is also part of the public participation. So that anytime he wants to put regulations, then he will consult the Council of Governors and other stakeholders. And of course, the consultation is a constitutional requirement as provided for in Article 6 and 189 of the Constitution. Consequently, Mr. Speaker, the Mediation Committee agreed to amend some clause 3 of that section to provide for the Cabinet Secretary to consult the Council of Governors and other stakeholders in performing his or her functions under clause 6. 2, under clause 9, which was also contentious, It was on the composition of the board of the National Irrigation Board or the National Irrigation Authority, which is anticipated that once this bill comes into place, they will be formed. And committee considered the amendment to clause 9 and observed that there could be need to have more representation from the county governments, as well as persons representing other stakeholders, farmers, the private sector, investors, and all that. Finally, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, Honorable Speaker, permit me to express my gratitude to Senator Njeru Ndiga, who was the vice chairperson of the mediation committee, and just like in the mediation committee on the warehouse, which he was also the chair, warehouse receipt system bill, he exhibited great leadership. I also want to thank the senators and members of the National Assembly in that mediation process, who I thank them for making the mediation process a success. I also want to thank the clerks to this committee, led by a gentleman by the name Kadi. I want to thank our legal team, led by Jamaima, at times by the director of the legal service of the National Assembly, the various interns who are following the deliberations, the clerk's office, for making sure that the mediation succeeded. And the chair, is good to remind that, that the House now needs to start the roads bill afresh, because the road bill, everything else we agreed, but it collapsed because the senators wanted to have 2 representatives in the Constituency Roads Committee, which we told them the sky is closer in reaching a decision on that matter. So you can as well go touch the sky. How you reach here, I don't know, but we told them that one is important. And because 8.9 billion was allocated to the county government, we told them they can be members there. So we have said there, that is not your domain, just like this morning. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and ask a member who has a lot of interest in the irrigation matter, because he represents people who do serious irrigation in Mwea, the member for Mwea to second.
Honorable Kabingo Adayo. Member for Mwea.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would want to join the Leader of Majority, who was our chairman, in thanking the mediation team for taking time to understand the real context of irrigation in this country. Mr. Speaker, this particular bill has taken more than a year since it left this House to Senate, Mr. Speaker, before Senate brought in their comments and their amendments. Mr. Speaker, this is an example of a bill that has been delayed because of mishandling of the 2 houses, I would say, Mr. Speaker, because from April last year, Senate responded back to this House in May this year, and it took another 2 months, Mr. Speaker, for them to agree on the date when we can meet for the mediation. So even as we thank them, Mr. Speaker, we still believe there are some delays that were caused by Senate in going through this bill. Mr. Speaker, we believe that what we now have is a mediated version that covers their concerns and our concerns. I, as a member who represents one of the largest irrigation schemes in this country, feels comfortable with the mediated bill. But Mr. Speaker, I would like to note that the real job is now with the Cabinet Secretary to come up with subsidiary regulations to operationalize this bill once it is assented to by the President. Mr. Speaker, for those that are familiar with the old CAP 347, the problem is not with the CAP itself, but with the subsidiary regulations that are associated with that CAP. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I'm looking forward to a better job being done by the Cabinet Secretary to come up with subsidiary regulations that will address issues that have been oppressing farmers of irrigation schemes from 1966 when this particular CAP was put in place. And with this, Mr. Speaker, I second the bill. Thank you.
Honour members, before I propose the question, allow me to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils from Paul Mbiu Primary School, Katanga constituency, Murang'a County. They are welcome to observe proceedings. Honour members, I propose the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Article 113, Clause 2 of the Constitution, and standing under number 150, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Irrigation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2017, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019, and approves the mediated version of the Irrigation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2017. Is the desire of the House that I put the question? Yes. Very well. I therefore put the question, having confirmed that the House quotes, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Article 113, Clause 2 of the Constitution, and standing under 150, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Irrigation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2017, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019, and approves the mediated version of the Irrigation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 46 of 2017. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, motion, approval of the mediated version of the Land Value Index Laws Amendment Bill 2018.
Leader of the majority. Is it leader majority? Land Value Index.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Article 113, subsection 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Order 150, this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on Land Value Index Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2018, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 2nd, 2019, and approves the mediated version of the Land Value Index. Mr. Speaker, as you are aware that the House passed the Land Value Index Bill 2018, and the Senate proposed amendments to the bill, which were rejected by this House, hence the mediation process. The report of this House, Mr. Speaker, is therefore the culmination of a very tedious, painful negotiation. Very painful. And I am sure I have got witnesses on both sides. But at the end of the day, we had to agree with our colleagues. Allow me to highlight, because one of the most contentious issues was even a title. That do we call this bill Land Value Index? And our colleagues argued that no. This one we must call it the Land Laws Amendment. But this bill, Mr. Speaker, is setting a standard for the first time for government in terms. I'm sure that many people who will not understand that. So we set for days to define and agree on who is an occupant in good faith. The other one was within what timelines should the land value index be developed? Is it 12 years? Is it 10 years? Is it 6 months? Is it so later we agreed upon assent by this law and the act gazetted, the county government and the national government must bring to both houses the land index or the value index, the land value index. Then the fourth one was who should be the members of the Land Acquisition Tribunal. And this was very, very easy. There were 5 members, but there were surveyors and valuers. And we said surveyors and valuers are stakeholders. There's conflict of interest, so they cannot sit in a tribunal to decide on matters that communities of individuals who own lands are unhappy with. So, Mr. Speaker, the questions that I have asked have been answered in our report, and I don't want to dwell much. But as I conclude, permit me to observe that I am glad that the Mediation Committee was finally able to conclude on this important bill, which seeks to deal with issues of valuation, which seeks to deal with the land compulsory acquisition of land for public purpose, for big projects, for government to be undertaken. I know government went through a problem in the SGR, in building of roads, in building of energy transmission lines. Mr. Speaker, it's very sad in our country that compensation is more expensive. Governments pay more in compensating for the national project than even the cost of the project. It doesn't happen in other jurisdictions, in other countries. Just recently, Mr. Speaker, we saw in the media how property in Kajiado was overvalued, homes of innocent Kenyans being demolished without compensation having been made. And I am sure this House, as they approve the next men and women who will sit in a National Land Commission, they must declare their assets and liabilities. Because you become a commissioner for land commission, and within 1 year, you become a billionaire. I mean, we can't fight corruption when we are creating corruption itself. So I really want to thank my colleague, Honorable Senator Gidiomi, Senator Mutula Kilonzo, Senator Margaret Kamar, Professor Udo, the chair of our Lands Committee, very competent, Honorable Nyamai, Honorable Caleb Kositani. I don't know why he's a member of Jubilee NEC, why he's not calling people, why he's not calling the party NEC. You know, he's just sitting here. And people are asking me why I don't have powers. No, that's not so.
Now you are spoiling the Hansen record.
Yeah, no,
we are dealing with the land value index bill. Now, anybody reading would wonder, what is it? How does this house transact business?
No, Mr. Speaker, he was in my committee. So, because he's rarely here, I was trying to give him his other duties. But I will withdraw that from the answer. He has other duties, which is not performing it to our satisfaction. So this law seeks to deal with all these issues, and I really want to thank Honorable Mishimbogo. Where was that? Boko? Yeah. Honorable Mashetani was not a member, but after what happened yesterday, he has taken off. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and ask the, who? Yeah, Honorable to second. I don't know why the Deputy Speaker is refusing Caleb to second. There's something he's aware, I'm not aware. No, it's not a mono.
Member for Soy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I really need protection from the Deputy Speaker. I'm glad you are the one on the seat. Mr. Speaker, please, can you please rein in on the Deputy Speaker to give me time to speak?
Okay. Yes.
The Deputy Speaker, the Speaker is your deputy. But from where he sits, he's really intimidating a member for Soy. And he's telling him that the Speaker will leave the chair, I will deal with you.
So, Mr. Speaker, do not leave the chair.
Well, obviously, that was not a point of order. I think the leader majority wanted to tell me to know what is happening in the silent consultations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I shall now proceed since the Deputy Speaker has been put in his place. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second, and I want to thank our leader of majority who was the vice chair during the mediation process. Sorry, he was actually the chair. He was the vice chair during the other. And we had a very good experience going through the mediation. Mr. Speaker, the committee observed on clause 5 that the duration within which the Commission shall inform the acquiring body of the decision to reject the request should be given within 14 days and not 7 days. The committee noted that a period of 14 days was reasonable and more adequate for the decision to be communicated. Mr. Speaker, the committee also agreed with the Senate amendment to clause 5B and 4B and noted that the list of persons in actual occupation of the land prior to the date of request.
What is out of order, Honorable Bukose?
Honorable Speaker, I would not want to interrupt Honorable Caleb Kositany, but our standing orders provide that we don't read the, he's just reading what is written there. I thought he would be able to contribute.
Yeah, the standing orders may only permit a member to make references, not to read verbatim.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know what is happening today, but I don't know how Honorable Bukose says I'm reading when he doesn't have a copy of what I am referring to. Yes, you're seated next to me, but you have no proof that I am reading. Anyway, let me proceed, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. On clause 6, Mr. Speaker, the committee resolved that clause 6, 107A and 4A, B, and C be redrafted by deleting the words potential, actual, and apparent, as all these words may represent a challenge in the interpretation regarding the assessing of value of land. The Senate amendment to the clause, Mr. Speaker, had proposed that the only word apparent in clause B and 4C be deleted. Mr. Speaker, with those remarks, I beg to second.
Very well. Member for Ainapkoi, and a member for Kiambu. Maybe you could, and a member for Taveta, if we could proceed with the business. Honourable members, I propose the question, which is that pursuant to provisions of Article 113, Clause 2 of the Constitution and standing under 150, this House adopts a report of the Mediation Committee on the Land Value Index Laws Amendment Bill. National. You want me to put the question or ask the mover to reply? But he has just been seconded. So he just put the question. Very well. I therefore put the question, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Article 113, Clause 2 of the Constitution and standing under 150, this House adopts a report of the Mediation Committee on the Land Value Index Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2018, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019, and approves the mediated version of the Land Value Index Laws Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 3 of 2018. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as a contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it. Honourable members, before we go to the next order, honourable members, just in case we get to business appearing as order number 16, I wish to give this guidance, which is the consideration by this House of the proposed amendment by the Senate to Clause 2 of the Public-Private Partnership Bill 2017. As you may be aware, honourable members, the National Assembly is seized of several proposed amendments by the Senate new definitions to the term accounting officer. The proposed amendment raises several issues, among them, 1, Section 3 of the Interpretation and General Provisions Act, Chapter 2 of the Laws of Kenya, provides that the term accounting officer as the meaning given by Section 2, Subsection 1 of the Public Finance Management Act of 2012, Cap 2 of the Laws of Kenya, therefore assigns any and all definitions and interpretations of the term accounting officer to the parent act that handles public finance legislation, that is the Public Finance Management Act. Number 2, the National Assembly has already legislated on the definition of accounting officer by amending the parent act, namely the Public Finance Management Act of 2012, through the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2019. The legislation passed by the National Assembly in this regard was passed on 13th of June 2019 and it provides that, and I quote, 2.1, in the definition of accounting officer, D, in the case of the Parliamentary Service Commission, 1, the clerk of the Senate in respect of the Senate, 2, the clerk of the National Assembly in respect of the National Assembly, and 3, such other officer in the parliamentary service in respect of any other office in the parliamentary service as the Cabinet Secretary shall, upon resolution by the Commission, designate within 14 days of the resolution, close the quotes. The amendment was passed with the objective of actualizing the resolution of the Parliamentary Service Commission made at its 256th meeting held on 14th February 2019. Number 3, standing order number 49, subsection 1 of the National Assembly standing orders, prohibits the House from opening up for review any motion, including a motion through which a bill has undergone third reading, within 6 months of its adoption and passage. Pursuant to this provision, and in light of the fact that the same legislation amending the Public Finance Management Act of 2012 through the Statute Law Miscellaneous Amendments Bill 2019 was undertaken on 13th of June 2019, it follows therefore that this legislation can only be revisited on or after the 13th of December 2019. The other definition the other definitions that the Senate proposes to introduce with regard to definition of accounting officer already have their meanings assigned to them by the Public Finance Management Act 2012, namely Section 2, Section 67, which is national government entities, including constitutional commissions and independent offices, and Section 148, county government entities. In view of the above considerations, I wish to guide the House that the proposed amendments by the Senate with respect to the definition of accounting officer under Clause 2 of the Public-Private Partnerships Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 52 of 2017, offend our standing order 49, subsection 1, and in this regard, the same proposed amendments are inadmissible. On the same note, no amendment will be allowed relating to the definition of the term accounting officer in respect to the Parliamentary Service Commission Bill 2018 in the Committee of the Whole House, which is coming up this afternoon, indeed, the next order. I thank you, now members, and the House is accordingly guided.
Order number 12, the Committee of the Whole House.
Order members, we are now in the Committee of the Whole, and we shall be considering the Parliamentary Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2018.
Clause 3.
Honorable members, I propose a question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. No amendment on that. I now put the question that Clause 3 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 4 be part of the bill. There is an amendment by the Chair of Justice Committee, Honorable Cheptumo.
Mr. Chair, I also had an amendment on clause 2.
We haven't dealt with clause 2.
Okay, let me proceed then. Mr. Chair, I propose that the bill be amended on clause 4 as per the order paper. And Chair, the justification of this amendment is this amendment seeks to harmonize the definition, the drafting style used in the bill for greater certainty. So it is not really, it's just a question of replacing the word shall be and substituting with the word is established, so just to strengthen the certainty of the provisions.
Very well. Honourable members, I propose a question that clause 4 be amended as proposed by the chair. Honourable members, I now put the question.
Gross misconduct, physical and mental incapacitation. I really wish we don't get a commissioner who becomes physically and mentally incapacitated to perform the office of the commission. But what I am happy about it, because when the Legal Affairs Committee were dealing with, I was saying yes, but the threshold must be very high, and then a committee is established. If that threshold is met, then that committee gives the commissioner, so it cannot be abused just because your party doesn't want you. You are just removed. You know, there are some people, commissioners from small parties of 14 members, like Honorable Momanyi. He knows the role I played. So some people will say, this is a man of few goats, and he can be marginalized. So even him, what's out of order? You are a member of 25 MPs.
What is your point? Where is your card here? I can't see your card.
Chair, is the leader of majority in order to refer my party as a small party, and yet it's a parliamentary party recognized by this House, Mr. Speaker? The third biggest in this country, Mr. Speaker.
No, Mr. Speaker,
maybe you should have done it in comparative terms.
Yes. When you compare with a party like Jubilee, which has got 170 compared to 23 or 24, you become small. When you are compared with ODM, with about 70-something, you become relatively, you are small. So I beg to support.
Very well. Let's have just two members and we make progress. Honorable Manzo.
Thanks for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this clause. Chair, you know now we have established a due process, Chair. And the due process is very important. It means without these amendments, we will find ourselves constantly taken to court, and most probably we will lose the matter in court. So these are very, very important amendments by the chair of GSC. I beg to support now that due process has been established.
Very well. Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 10 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 10 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 10 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 11.
I propose a question that clause 11 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, Jailak, you have an amendment.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I propose that the clause 11 be amended as per the order paper. That is, introduce 11A. And Chair, the justification is very simple and very clear. We observe that there is need to incorporate certain provisions in the bill to empower the Commission to facilitate the activities of members of Parliament within and outside the Prince of Parliament, with a view to actualizing Article 118, Sub-Article 1B of the Constitution, which provides, and I quote, Parliament shall facilitate public participation and involvement in the legislative and other business of Parliament and its committees. Chair, Article 118 now is not optional for us. We have to participate. If you look at the CDF processes and all other decisions in our constituencies, public participation is critical, it is mandatory, constitutional, and I think, Chair, that is critical to have provisions in this bill to facilitate, to enable members to actualize that particular provision of the Constitution, Article 118 of the Constitution.
Very well. Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 11 be amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, shall we start with the majority leader?
Chair, this is a very, very important amendment, and people should not think it in terms of money. It's like if a member has a petition from his constituency, Parliament can give him the services, a clerk, a legal person to assist him outside Parliament. They can go together to his constituency. They can create a secretariat for him so that what the member brings from his constituency is something that Parliamentary Service Commission can also invest in. So we are saying this is very, very important, that today if there's a problem the member has in his constituency, Parliament can provide the necessary technical expertise. You know, people always think about their money. It's not about money. It's technical expertise. So that they go draft for me the petition. When Parliamentary Committee is going to talk to my people, then I also have a team that is from Parliament that is listening and drafting all the information. So I really support the Chair of Legal Affairs.
Yes, shall we have Honorable, yes, let's have Honorable Oudo.
Chair, thank you for this opportunity. I also stand to support the amendments proposed by the Chair. And specifically, Chair, as members of Parliament, as members of the National Assembly, our obligations or mandate in the Constitution is explicitly clear. The lack of legal provision has made it completely impossible for us to discharge our duties on oversight and legislation. Because you are legislating on behalf of people, you must listen to the people, get their views, which you can then come and incorporate in the legislative process. I support.
Very well. Shall we just make progress on this? Honorable Barasa, must you speak to this?
Yes, Honorable Chair, thank you very much. I just want to say that this amendment is very good. I support it because it's going to add value to us as members of Parliament, and they in turn also ensure that whatever we give back to the people that we represent is going to be meaningful, because we're able to get technical expertise, advice from this Honorable Chair. So I support. It's very important.
Honorable Kinan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important amendment, and I'm glad that the chairman of JLAC has gone further to clean it up. This is actually the core function of the Commission. For those of you who have been around, before the birth of the current the Commission in 1999, almost all the technical support used to come from the executive. And since the reality that we have three arms of government, of course there are other imagined arms of government, we must respect the sanctity and the special place of Parliament, both in the Constitution and in the minds of the people of Kenya. And that's why this particular amendment. And this is one thing that actually has been misconstrued by certain quarters to give the impression that PSC is going to do this. No, there is no monetary benefit here. Right now, PSC or Parliament provides, and I agree with the Honorable Undo, that this is one of the best amendments, this is one of the best provisions that will add value to in the provision of facilities and service. And there is no money. I want to repeat, whoever is outside there, whoever has done this, there is no monetary gain in this particular thing, and I support this.
Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 11 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 11 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clause 12. I propose a question that clause 12 be part of the bill. No amendment. I now put the question that clause 12 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clause 13. I propose a question that clause 13 be part of the bill. There is an amendment. Chair, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I propose that the bill be amended as per on clause 13 as by the order paper. Chair, the justification is that the membership of the Commission is actually set out in Article 127 of the Constitution. And thus there is no need for legislating on provisions to empower the Commission to co-opt persons who are non-members of the Commission into membership of the Commission's committee. Chair, should the commission feel they need to adopt, to co-opt certain persons in their committees, it is still administrative. They can do so. We don't need to legislate that because that is what is provided for in the Constitution. Yeah.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 13 be amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, Majority Leader.
Chair, I am ready. I want to oppose this amendment, which he wants to delete it. Because this is a Parliamentary Service Commission. And for the first time, the leadership of the House are not members. And the bill is very clear. It says, a person co-opted by under Section 2 shall have no vote to vote at any meeting of the committee, of the commission. Our whips, the leadership, the minority leader, sometimes we might be asked to attend the commission meeting to take the grievances of our members. Now, if you refuse us and we are not being given voting right, we will not vote. But if our members have an issue, and because we represent members, the whips represent members, we represent parties. If we cannot take it to the commission as the leader of majority, and I have no vote, just to go and present, I think there's nothing wrong with that, Chair. There's nothing wrong with that. When the commission wants, if they call me and they say there's something, like members come to my office, they have got issues. So, and in the bill it's saying, a person co-opted under Section 2 shall have no right to vote on any meeting of the committee. I don't want to have any voting right. In the old commission, the vice president, who was the leader of government business, used to be the vice chair of the commission. So I think this is not offensive. So, Chair, I really want to ask you to withdraw that. Sometimes our members, no, don't explain. You have explained. So what else do you want to explain? No, you know, Chair, I really want to ask you. When Honorable Bandi has issue from his parliament, from his members, or even our whip, or even my deputy, we are not saying we want to sit in the commission. We want to say we want to be co-opted to take the issue in once when the need arises. We don't want to sit in the commission. But right now, we hear issues, we have to wait for the leadership meeting. I mean, members come to my office even today. So do I have to look for individual commissioners? And I talk to commissioners, they can still help me, but there may be there's a matter even one the commissioners wants to convince me, and I take their matter too.
Very well. Honorable Chair, I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a chance, but let's hear one or two, then we'll come to you, then the House will make a decision either way. Honorable Nyikal.
Chair, I also stand to oppose this. You know, this commission, sometimes there are issues that actually you may need expertise from somewhere. And I've seen in this particular commission, the people who are members of the commission are the way they are elected or selected by the process of the House, quite often does not take into consideration the expertise that you may need. So if there are times that they may feel we need somebody in this to advise us on this, for that time, it's necessary. Further, two actually then limits the fear that somebody would have, that then you would pick people to go and sway the decision. For that purpose, Chair, I oppose this amendment.
Let's have somebody who hasn't spoken on this particular one. Honorable Noor.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me this chance. I stand also to oppose the amendment by the Chair. Mr. Chair, there is a lot of value into this particular section, Mr. Chair. The Commission may from time to time establish such a committee as may be necessary to better carry out its function and exercise. The members of the Commission might not be expert on all fields that they are attending to, Chair. So it is important that when they feel there is need to arise for them to address a particular issue, they can establish that committee to address that particular issue. And after they address that particular issue with their expertise, then they can go back. They do not have any rights of votes, but they have the knowledge, the expertise, and the technical know-how that can add value to our commission.
Honorable Kelema.
Yeah. Chair, I suppose I stand to oppose the amendment. Because as it is now, if this amendment is carried out, it's going to reduce the competent members to be of no value. Again, they may be having more knowledge or knowledge almost equal to the contribution of the points which are going to be discussed by the commissioners. So it's always good when they are there, but they have value to the contributions which are taking place, and they can be given a chance to vote. Because now when they have no vote, it means that then they'll just be sitting in the commission as just statutes of with no value. So then this amendment shouldn't be ignored or shouldn't be not be effected at all. I think the chair should stand up and withdraw without being embarrassed, because this is a matter of the House.
Very well.
That's all, Chair.
Very well. We'll come this way. Let's go to that far end. Honorable Udo, we'll give you a chance. Then we'll make progress. Honorable, must be Honorable Mogaka. Miruka, sorry. Yes, I got it. And I don't see your card here. I can't see your card, but nevertheless, speak to this. There you go.
Oh, good. Because of time, Mr. Speaker, I want to oppose the amendments. In fact, if we allow that amendment, we reduce value in the commission. Remember, if the co-opted members have different thinking and reasoning, if now you remove them, that means commission is going to be like without any addition of information. To me, I stand to oppose.
Very well. Honorable.
It's going by the discretion of the commission. Once in a while, we have done it, so I see no harm in this, and therefore let's go ahead and have this done.
Honorable Chair.
Chair, I just want to take up from where Honorable Genan has left. Chair, what you are saying is that there is nothing, as it is now, that can bar, if we were to amend this particular clause, nothing will stop the commission from co-opting anybody in the committees. Two, there's nothing that will bar, because, Mr. Chair, the powers of the commission will include and not limited to even the ability to co-opt anybody. So, Mr. Chair, we are only trying to say we should not legislate what is obvious. And I want to say it is for this House now to make a decision on that issue. Yeah.
Very well. Honorable members, we must make progress, honestly. I now propose a question that clause 13 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The nays have it. In that case now, I now put the question that clause 13 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 14 and 15.
I propose a question that clause 14 and clause 15 be part of the bill. There are no amendments on that. I now put the question that clause 14 and 15 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 16.
I propose a question that clause 16 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment.
Thank you, Chair. I propose that the bill be amended at clause 16 as per the order paper. The justification, Chair, is that the words sought to be deleted were unnecessary cross-reference to the constitutional provisions. The committee noted that the constitutional provisions cited are applicable referencing without restating them to the Act. So really it is just avoiding the cross-reference of those sections of the Constitution, nothing really to change the
Very well. Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 16 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 16 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 16 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 17.
I propose a question that clause 17 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment on clause 17? Honorable Chair.
But Chair, there is a new part. I think we'll come to that later.
What Chair did you say?
No, I do.
Why don't you check in your order paper, page 1083?
Mr. Chair.
Honorable, there is a nomza here. There is only an honorable, but it's a senior one.
Chair, I propose that clause 17 of the bill be amended as per the order paper, and the justification is that it seeks to remove the requirement in the bill that restricts potential appointees to the clerk to persons having 10 years of proven experience in public service. The amendment opens up so that, Mr. Chair, it should now be somebody who has even been in private sector can actually apply to be a clerk. As it is now, it only restricts to a person who is served in the public service, just to open up so that all Kenyans in private sector, public service can apply to be a clerk of the National Assembly or the Senate.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 17 be amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, Honorable Kenan.
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, again, this amendment by the Chair, Jailak, is a very good one because and it's consistent with some of the pronouncements the courts have been making over the last few years, including some that we have procedurally legislated in the last parliament. And therefore, this is prudent. It's also in line with the Fair and Administrative Act, which again, and also Article 55 of the Constitution, which again allows the face of Kenya, of course, taking into account education, race, and everything else, to be part of this. So I agree with that amendment.
Yeah, very well. Yes, Majority Leader.
Chair, Chair, I also have a problem with this amendment. With a lot of respect to Commissioner Kainan, Honorable Kainan, and on the Chair. Who are commissioners? Commissioners are elected from members of Parliament. Oh, this is the clerk.
Yeah, 17C relates to the
I
clerk.
was wondering, how do you tell members of Parliament to have 10 years public service? Oh, sawa.
Very well. Finally, so that we make progress. Honorable Barasa, briefly, if we can, on this one.
Yes, Honorable Chair, this is a very good amendment because we have very good Kenyans from the private sector who are better than those who are in government. We have lawyers of reputable experience in practice. And when you say that we limit them to only public service, we will be locking out Kenyans who are very brilliant, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Chair, I support this.
Honorable members, I propose a question that Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 17 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put to the question that clause 17 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 17 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 18.
I propose a question that clause 18 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 18 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 19.
I propose a question that clause 19 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair.
Chair, before I go to this, I need your guidance. I had new clause 17A and new clause 16A. We'll come to that later.
Yeah,
okay.
Honorable Chair, that comes as second reading at the end.
I start guided, Mr. Chair. Chair, I propose that the bill be amended in clause 19 as per the order paper. Chair, the justification is that the amendment seeks to clarify the provisions and sets out the administrative powers of each of the clerks of the House. It is observed that the powers and functions to be assigned to the Secretary to the Commission under Parliamentary Service Act must take cognizance of the bicameral nature of Kenya Parliament as established.
The clerks. I am seeing Honorable Kainan has an issue because in Article 19, it's only setting out the clerk shall, in each of the respective houses, be responsible to the commission. And they are appointees of the commission. And let us not go. I really want to advise Honorable Professor Ouda that in the 11th Parliament, under the new constitution, the accounting officer for both houses and joint services used to be the clerk and the secretary to the commission and the clerk of the Senate. So nothing was moving in the National Assembly. So we amended the PFM Act and created, we created the clerk of the National Assembly to be in charge as accounting officer for the National Assembly. Then later we realized that even there were crises in the joint services. And I think 3 weeks ago, we also gave him an accounting purpose. So that the joint services in terms of human resource, in terms of staff, in terms of staff of even this gym we are talking about, all those, that this guy is an IE holder. So Honorable Kainan should tell us, from where I sit, the chair is only giving the functions of these clerks. Am I right? So tell us as a member, I mean, yeah.
Honorable Kainan, so that we make progress briefly.
Chairman, in fact, I want to thank the Chairman Jailak, but I want to really plead with him. Taking into account, let's leave the way it is in the original bill. This further amendment by Jailak actually will cause jurisdictional conflict, will cause perceptual crisis, and will also negate the amendment, or the misleading amendment that we passed just last week. So I pray that, yes, in understandable, the commission is one, the staff are one, and the roles of both houses are there. And so there is no need to put this in this particular bill. Let's leave it with the way it is in the bill. In fact, the way it is drafted in the bill takes care of everything. It's also consistent with the amendment that we passed. And therefore, this further amendment by Jailak will just cause conflict. I beg that he withdraws this.
Very well, we must make a vote on this.
Sorry, I was just saying, in fact, only that you do not accept what the Honorable Oundo said actually is correct. Please, I plead with my brother, Chairman Jailak, to withdraw his and allow it with the way it is properly framed in the bill.
Honorable Nyikal must speak to this briefly, then we...
Chair, I want a very small clarification because the distinction here is very important. The difference I see in the bill as was drafted was there was an authorized officer. Now, when we come in the amendment, that word authorized officer has been removed. Can the chair explain to us exactly what that means in operational terms? Because if they are accounting officers and you leave out authorized officer, it splits the function of that office. So can we get that before really we move on?
Very well. Honorable Chair, I will give you a second stab on this so that then the House makes a decision.
Chair, what we've done in this amendment is to clearly set out the functions of the two clerks. And still the authority still remains with the Commission, of course, as you are aware. Now, listening to the Honorable Kainan, and Mr. Chair, I have no problem with that position, and I am inclined to withdraw this amendment to clause 19 because we just wanted to clarify. But I still believe that what is set out in the current bill can still serve. But basically, the confusion that used to be there now can be clarified even in the bill.
May I get it clear, Honorable Chair? Have you withdrawn?
Yes, I am.
You have withdrawn. Very well. In the circumstances now, honorable members, I now put the question that clause 19 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 20.
I propose a question that clause 20 be part of the bill. No amendment. I now put the question that clause 20 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 21.
I propose a question that clause 21 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment.
Chair, I propose that the bill be amended in clause 22 as by the order paper. 21, sorry. The amendment 6 is redrafting harmonization in light of the fact that the Commission has renamed the title of senior deputy clerk as deputy clerk. I think that is an administrative which has been done already by the Commission. So we just want to avoid still referring to the title senior deputy clerk, which has already been done away with by the Commission.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 21 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 21 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 21 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 22.
I propose a question that clause 22 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment as well.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Again, I propose that the bill be amended in clause 22 as by the order paper. Chair, it is noted that section 22(2)(d) of the bill, as currently drafted, presupposes that the clerk, the wording, has committed some wrong and is under a duty to explain himself, or herself, otherwise the Commission shall remove. The wording as it is, Chair, gives the impression that already that particular staff or clerk is guilt. We are not very happy with the wording itself, and so that is why we just did some redrafting as per the amendment. As per the order paper.
Very well. Just a minute, I propose a question. I propose a question that clause 22 be amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, majority.
Chair, I need the chair to make a number of clarifications. Because number one, even in the bill, you are giving the process for the removal of a clerk to be similar to that of removing a commissioner. I mean, this is unacceptable. A clerk is a staff of the commission. So how you remove a commissioner cannot be the same as how you remove a clerk. So me, I want the chair to come clear, and maybe other members to contribute. Because if you look at section 22 of the bill, the clerk of a House of Parliament may be suspended or removed from office of the commission for inability to perform the function of the office, whether arising from infirmity, I don't know, of body or mind, gross misconduct or misbehavior, incompetence, bankruptcy, violation of the review of the Constitution, then a clerk will never be removed. I can tell you, you could as well call
amendment, in the clause in the Act. Instead of the word "and," which presupposes that for a clerk to be removed, he must have breached all those. He has brought in the word "or." In my understanding, limited understanding, it means in any of those, the clerk can be disciplined or removed on the basis of flouting any of the provisions or the issues stated between A and F. That's my understanding. So that instead of "and," he's saying "or." Or presupposes either.
Very well, very well, very well. Briefly, Honorable Jamai, did you want to speak to this? Honorable Jamai.
Honorable Speaker, I have listened to the amendment that has been brought by the chair of JLAC, and I think it makes the process of removal of a clerk extremely difficult, giving conditions that are equal to removal of a commissioner. So, Honorable Chair, I would like to say that this process is tedious, And let us agree that the clerk is an officer or an employee of the Parliamentary Service Commission. So this makes the process extremely difficult, and Honorable Chair, I oppose.
Honorable Tongi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have listened carefully to what Honorable Majority Leader has said, and my colleagues have contribution, Mr. Speaker. I think knowing the commissioners and knowing how open-minded they are, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure we can be able to engage and get the understanding. They must have had some wisdom behind what they had, why they proposed it the way they proposed the removal of a clerk. And maybe we can pick the wisdom and the understanding, maybe then we can be able to reach the consensus. Because as it is now, Mr. Speaker, it looks a little difficult to manage, even to control the clerk, because if he's going to have the same powers as a commissioner, then how on earth are you going to manage? Who is going to be the boss of the other? And you know, Mr. Speaker, any institution with everybody being opposed, where everybody is opposed, it becomes nobody's business. Who is going to give direction? And you know, the function of management is also to give direction, to give a strategy, to develop, to advise. Who is going to advise who? Because all of you, as per the amendment we made, all of you are equal. So we need to understand exactly what they had in mind. Then based on that understanding, Mr. Speaker, then we'll be able to agree and get into a consensus. Maybe they mean well, but we need that understanding, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Very well. I can tell the chair is consulting, which is okay. In the meantime, shall we have Honorable Barasa?
Thank you, Chair. You know, Chair, what we need to do is we need to ensure that the clerk is highly competent. And if he becomes incompetent, he should be removed like any other officer. But if you are making these conditions to remove the clerk similar to those one of removing a member of parliament, I mean, we should lessen the conditions so that if we have a clerk who is not performing properly, he should be removed with ease and go home. And they bring another Kenyan to serve the Parliamentary Service Commission better.
Yes, very well. Yes, Majority Leader.
Chair, in fact, you need to give us time, because the even worse thing I have seen is that even the removal of these clerks is being subjected to both houses. And what business do we have with the removal of a clerk? So the chair, you are really doing an amendment which has never happened. That for the commission to remove the clerk, they must bring it to both houses. The removal of a commissioner the procedure is set out, it must come to the house. Because they are members, we have elected them. But today, if a clerk violates even the code of conduct of the commission, basic things, he should be sacked. In fact, if the chamber cannot function because of the inability of an ineffective clerk, that alone should sack him. But when you say a gross violation, when are we removing a minister? Are we removing a president?
Even a minister can be removed.
So I really want the chair to remove the whole of 22, but Honorable Kainan, we cannot remove the whole of 22. We must have a procedure for removal of the clerk. Is it in the Constitution? But you know, we are legislating for the commission. So I think the chair will give us time. We need to delete the section by what is in the bill and what is by the chair. Then we get a better, because you can also not have a vacuum. Yeah, you can't have a vacuum.
Very well. Honorable Majority Leader, you can be consulting with the chair and whoever else, as we have one or two other members, because we still must make progress. Honorable Nyikal.
Chair, there's also a minor issue. You know, the other thing is, we should also look at this ABC separately, because A, as Honorable Hundu was saying, is quite clear. You have to remove that and have or. So that's okay. But we are taking the whole thing as it is. But when we come to the rest, I actually find that we're making it complex. And knowing the nature of the House, if you were to bring that matter back to the House, then the forces that will play will be impossible. So I actually think, one, split the two, But even after you have done that, I think don't make it too difficult. The forces in the House will be very different.
Very well. Honorable Mwangi Boro.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. As to support the other members, I think the clerk should be answerable to the commission. And I think the commission should have an easier way of removing the clerk when need be. Although we should not use that avenue to bring in our own people in a funny way. We should have the most competent people in the country to get those positions. But the position of the clerk should not be so secured like a chief magistrate or like a Maraga position. So we should find a way of having a line in between. We should have an easier way of removing the clerk, but we should also have an easier way of vetting in a new clerk if we have to. Because I think there's some confusion here. I think there's some control here that we are looking at. We are looking at a competent clerk, and we must have a say on how the clerk is given his job. We must also have it very easy on how the clerk is removed, and it should be as easy as it can be. Thank you.
Yes, shall we have Honorable Mwadi? We'll come to you. Yeah, we'll come to you.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to speak like a former commissioner and say this, that it is very, very important to know that in removal of a clerk, you don't have to embed that process or make it so tedious such that it's going to be difficult. I know we have very good clerks, both of them. But what this amendment seeks to do is to create in its eventuality a rogue clerk. So if you have a rogue clerk, it will be very difficult for that person to work for the commission. It will be very difficult for us to remove that person because probably the clerk will start giving foreign trips to members here and then he will not be removed. So what I'm saying, that I agree with Honorable Nyikal that the word all in that first part is okay. But subclause 2 and 3 should not be included in this bill. That is my...
2, except as in subsection 1, by deleting the word N appearing in paragraph F and substituting thereof the word or. And the rest of the amendments, Mr. Chair, I withdraw. I think there's a serious reason why we need to go that direction. Yeah.
Very well. Honorable members, I hope that is very clear. Let's make it clear what you have done, Honorable Chair. If you could come back still, so that then all members are in the same page on what have you dropped, Honorable Chair. Just for record, this is important, so that then members are able to vote.
Chair, I have dropped all the other proposed amendments to
mention them.
22. That is clause 22 of the bill be amended. I have withdrawn B and C.
Very well.
And also 3. All the other amendments are withdrawn, except the ones I've said that is only 1A.
In that case, honorable members, I will put the question on that on the amendment, because it's still an amendment, although he has dropped the other clauses. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 22, as amended, be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 22, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 23.
I propose a question that clause 23 be part of the bill. We have 3 amendments. Honorable Chair, Honorable Majority Leader, shall we start? I propose we start with the chair, because the chair is actually proposing a deletion.
Chair, I don't know why the majority is saying that when his goes through, then mine will collapse. Because Chair, I know of course he has the seniority, but Chair, I have been able to consider jointly with
Honorable Chair, just to be clear, because Majority Leader is dealing with clause 5.
No, it is 23.
Clause 5.
It is 23.
specifically dealing with clause 5, subclause 5. And so...
Actually, that's also mine. I'm also dealing with that particular section. Because I propose to delete 2, 3, 4, and D, delete subsection 5, and substituting therefore the following, and then I've quoted 5 there. And what I'm saying, Chair, we've been able to discuss with the majority leader, and I'm inclined to withdraw these proposed amendments, and we go with his proposals. They are basically, yeah.
So Honorable Chair, you are dropping.
I'm dropping my amendments.
Your amendments,
yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So you are dropping all your amendments. So
yes.
In that case,
to 23, to clause 23.
Very well, very well. Yeah. If you have dropped, that is noted for record. Therefore, then we are left. The chair is the honorable majority leader is left to move his amendment.
Chair, I beg to move that clause 23 be amended as provided in the order paper. And this is just to make sure that we conform it with Article 1081 of the Constitution, that the Commission shall establish offices set out under Section 1, having regard to the strengthening of the leadership offices. Under a presidential system of democracy, the offices of the leadership, both the whips and the minority and majority leaders, are important for posterity, for even those who will come. But again, we have pegged it on Article 1081 of the Constitution and any other leadership offices that may be established in the House of Parliament, including chairs, vice chairs, so the Commission can have the powers to facilitate them. Yeah. Secondly, the facilitation and the strengthening of the offices pursuant to Section 5 shall take into account the respective roles of the houses. What do we mean by respective roles? We have a house of 349 vis-a-vis a house of 67. So they cannot be the same. So there must be respective roles of the houses as set out in Article 95 and 96 of the Constitution. And again, more so, the precedents set out in Article 1084 of the Constitution is followed. That you cannot give more facilities to the Speaker of the Senate against the Speaker of the National Assembly. And the order is in the Constitution. The Speaker of the National Assembly is higher, is number 3. The other Speaker of the Senate participates. He participates. So this is what we said this morning, that we, number 1, whatever facilitation PSC will do must be based on the roles of the House, must be based on the numbers, must be based on the precedents in the Constitution, that everybody gets any facilitation according to the Constitution. So I think I beg to move.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 23 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. Yeah, honorable members, that is the mood. I now put the question that clause 23 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. With as many as of that opinion say aye. With as many as of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. I now put the, yes, we have another amendment actually by Honorable Tonui, Leonard Tonui. And Honorable Tonui seems to have taken leave. In the circumstances, that gets dropped. That gets, Honorable Udo, you have instructions. You clearly, I'm not sure you have those instructions, do you?
Chair, probably I might not have written instructions.
Order, member. Order, Honorable Udo.
Oral instructions
up to that extent, your request falls. In that case, honorable members, I now put the question that clause 23, as amended, be part of the bill. With as many as of that opinion say aye. With as many as of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 24.
I propose a question that clause 24 be part of the bill. Honorable Chairperson, you have an amendment.
I just have a very small amendment, Chair. I propose that the bill be amended in clause 25 as per the order paper, 24, sorry. And the amendment is to subsection 2 and 3 are redrafting clarifications to provide certainty to the meaning of the provisions. Basically, to make it clear, the way it is worded is not very clear, but just want to realign those words and shared services and the other shall be headed by inserting the words of service immediately after the word terms and conditions. So those two terms really is to bring some certainty to the provisions of the bill.
Very well. Honourable members, I propose a question that clause 24 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 24 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 24, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 25.
I propose a question that clause 25 be part of the bill. Honourable Chair, you have an amendment.
Chair, I propose that clause 25, the bill be amended in clause 25 as per the order paper. And the justification is that the amendment seeks to empower the officer appointed to head the Center for Parliamentary Studies and Training to manage and control the staff employed to the center and also administer their scheme of service. Basically to empower the person in charge of the institution to have the control.
Honourable members, I propose the question that clause 25 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question. Yes, Honourable Majority Leader.
Have in each of the respective houses be responsible for the commission for the following issues. What the clerk of the National Assembly, being an accounting officer, Mr. Chair, should also be done in the same level by the person in charge of the center. In terms of, can I explain, Chair? Because
order members. Let the chair. The chair is on the floor.
And I think
the chair is on the floor.
And I think one of the members.
Just finish.
One of the chair.
Yes.
I am not saying the powers of the person in charge of the center has equal position with the clerk. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if he's an accounting officer.
Honourable Chair, I mean, please proceed. Don't hear any contribution.
From where I sit, Chair.
Just you have the floor.
And I think Honourable Kainan should be able to clear his commissioner. Let him clarify to us. As far as I'm concerned, he is an accounting officer. If he is, then he should be given the powers to be an accounting officer. That's what I'm saying. Chair, we cannot mislead this house. I want the commissioner to tell us, is the person in charge of the center an accounting officer? If he's not, let him explain.
What is the point of order, Honourable Majority Leader?
Let him explain.
Chair.
Honourable Chair, take your seat. Honourable Chair, take your seat. Majority is on the point of order.
An accounting officer within the reading of the PFM Act, up to today, are only 3. The Clerk of the Senate, the Clerk of the National Assembly, and the Director General of Joint Services. And any other officer that the Commission, but in fact, for him to be an accounting officer where he will expend public money, we must amend the PFM Act. The Commission can only give you responsibilities, but in the exercise of spending money, it must be an amendment to the PFM Act. So from where we are sitting now, and when we have a chair...
Honourable Majority Leader, what exactly are you doing? Are you contributing?
So, I'm saying the chair. The chair is out of order because his amendment now is asking us a question that who is an accounting officer? He cannot ask us that question. And he's...
Well, very well. Before I give the other members, we still must give the chair to finish his part. Other members, you must give the chair an opportunity to finish. You see, and then I'll give a few other members to speak to this.
I want the commissioner, who is a member of this house, to confirm to this house that the person in charge of the center is not an accounting officer.
Are you done? Yeah, Honorable Chair, you know, Honorable Chair is even giving the Honorable Kenan an opportunity to speak. It cannot happen. But Honorable Kenan, I think because you have been mentioned and you seem to have information that may be helpful, Honorable Kenan.
Mr. Speaker, I really, with a lot of humility and respect, and I know Honorable Cheptumo is a seasoned lawyer, we must read the different provisions of the Constitution and certain sections of different acts holistically. Article 127 of the Constitution confers powers of appointment and abolition of office actually to the Commission. And you cannot come back and the clerks, Article 126, 127 and 128, if you read, the functions of the two clerks actually are clearly spelled out in the Constitution. And the Director of Center for Parliamentary Studies is a creation of the Commission, which is a creature actually of Article 127. And therefore, for one to purport to come round, circumvent, and bring another office equivalent to the clerks, in my opinion, is unconstitutional. And therefore, I want to beg that the Honorable Cheptumo, Mr. Chairman, that the Honorable Cheptumo withdraws that Honorable Cheptumo withdraw this, because really it's an indirect way of creating another clerk. Yes, it's an indirect way of creating a third clerk, which is not what is envisaged under Article 127.
Yes, very well, Honorable Momanyi.
Chair, I think Honorable Cheptumu's question was very specific. He wanted the Commission to confirm whether the person in charge of CPST is an account holder or not. The Director of CPST is not an account holder. I think that is all that the Honorable Cheptumu wanted a clarification on. Therefore, the Director is not an accounting officer. An account holder, rather.
Our Honorable Chair, you get a chance. You definitely get a chance. As Honorable, I want to give to a member who hasn't spoken yet. Honorable Sankok. We'll give one or two others, and we make progress.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think Honorable Chair is quite right. The only thing is that it is this English. You know, English is not straightforward. So instead of the accounting officer, let him replace with authorized officer instead of accounting officer. It is just a little bit of English which came with a ship. Yes.
Very well, Honorable Member. Yes. Honorable Udo, we really must make progress on this matter. Honorable Udo, if you can speak for just a few seconds, we give the chair and we make progress, please.
Chair, I want to request the chair to withdraw the amendment because it has got the import of creating a third layer, which is not anticipated in the Constitution. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, finally.
I want to assure members that I will not withdraw this. And for a very simple reason, Chair. Usage of the word account officer may have been misused in this particular case. I think the right word is the authorized officer. And in the words of the Commissioner Chair, who is our respected member here, the Commission has powers to appoint persons to be authorized officers. Mr. Chair, the other point is if you read, Chair, if you read the proposed amendments, we are saying the provisions of Section 19, 26.2, and 27.4 shall, with necessary modifications, apply to the officer appointed to head the Center for Parliamentary Studies and Training. So we are not saying the provisions of Section 19 shall apply as it is, or 26 as it is, with modification, Mr. Chair. So I want to plead with members, this is the way to go. And Chair,
Very
we are
well.
very thorough. As a committee, we don't joke around. We do a serious job.
Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 25 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 25 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Other members. I can tell even the chair who proposed that amendment I'll carry that again. I now put the question that clause 25 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 26.
I propose a question that clause 26 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment.
Chair, this one is fairly straightforward. We are saying that the committee observed that clause 26(1) of the bill provides for internal procedure matters of the to develop regulations, and we are providing a section for that particular powers to make regulations. Later, you will realize that as we go by. So that is really what we are saying, that you can be able to do this through regulations or scheme of service, which can be done by the Commission without necessarily legislating.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 26 be amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, Majority Leader.
No, Chair, the Chair cannot take us for granted. You cannot tell us as we go forward. What is forward? In every law that we make, there must be a provision that says, upon enactment of this law, the relevant body will bring regulations to the House. That is what Section 27 is saying. So why are you deleting? Every law that we do here.
We are relating to clause 26.
Yeah.
No, Majority Leader.
26 is on what? It's on the one, the Commission shall formulate and disseminate to officers or scheme of service. So he's deleting the whole of it. No, I'm okay. I was confused with Article 27.
Okay, very well. Honorable members, really, let's make progress on this. I now put the question that clause 26 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 26 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 27.
I propose a question that clause 27 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair,
again, we propose that the bill be amended as on clause 27 as per the order paper. It is deleting section 27, and the reason is basically the same, Chair, that these are items which are in order and they are proper, but we are also saying they should not be legislated in this. The Commission has powers to still do the same. Through the other system, it's possible they can still do it administratively instead of legislating it.
Honorable members, I put the question on that. I put the question that clause 27. Honorable members, I put the question that clause 27 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause is a deletion. Very well, honorable members. But it is important, I think, in clause 25, when we cross-reference clause 27, which is now deleted, it's not a problem. We will do a recommit of clause 25 later. So then we clean up, which is still fine. Next clause.
Clause 28.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 28 be part of the bill. There is no amendment. I now put the question that clause 28 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 29.
I propose a question that clause 29 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment.
Chair, this is really to rearrange what is provided for under clause 29 are in order also. But we are saying they have been able to put together all those items in one clause. And we are saying it is good to separate the two, because if you look at C, you talk about contributory optional provision for provident and medical fund or other scheme for its employees. And then the other aspects about to grant pension, gratuities, retiring allowances, and so on. So we felt it was good to distinguish the two because they are all lumped in the same, in one particular clause. We felt it was good to retain the same, but we split into two because we are not removing anything. We are just trying to redraft because of the wording, so that you don't lump some two items in the same. We are just agreeing with the commission, with you, leader, because this is your bill.
Yeah. Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 29 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 29 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. I now put the question that clause 29 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
Clause 30.
I propose a question that clause 30 be. Yes, Majority Leader.
Wait, Chair. Chair, it reads in the bill, there is established a parliamentary police unit, not service, which shall have a specialized police service, shall have a specialized police unit.
Very well. Majority seem to have acceded to that. Honorable members, yes, let's have the final one, then we put the question. Honorable Maboga.
Chair, I just wanted to find out from the chair, when you talk of a unit of a police, which is under the Inspector General of Police, you are looking at how many personnel, because you have to be sure. There are units which have very few personnel. You need to be very specific and tell the House exactly how many personnel are you looking at.
Honorable Chair, briefly, do you want to, for the comfort of Honorable Maboga and members?
Chair, I want to confirm to the House that actually when you are doing the public participation in this bill, the police actually came before, the police service came before the committee. And that is when we're able to really discuss this issue. In terms of the numbers, I may not be able to confirm here. It's of course a concern. You can imagine if this unit was to serve Parliament, it should of course be reasonable in terms of numbers, but that is the business of the IG, really the in charge of the commission.
Very well.
The police.
Yes, Majority Leader, then
No, Chair, I totally agree with the Chair, but to speak to Honorable Mabonga, that is a domain of the Inspector General of Police. Ours is to say there shall be a police unit. The number, how they operate, who are there, that is not a function of the PSC.
Very well, very well. Shall we make progress on this, Leader? Honorable members, I now put the question that clause. Yes, Honorable Nyikala, yes, actually I had given you space.
Chair, whereas I agree with what the Honorable Leader of Majority has said, but if you look at 5, I thought it had some reason in it, that the Commission may request the transfer or the deployment of the officers in the unit. So I think if there are units within serving the Commission and they actually feel there is need to change, we may do that. I agree that in 4, they do as they do their other things. But in this one, there may be a point. So as you are deleting 4, I don't think we should delete 5 as well. And I don't know how then the chair should address that.
Very well. Allow the members to make a decision on this now. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 30 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 30 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Enable the Commission to interact with members.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 6 be amended as proposed by the chair. I put the question that clause 6 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 36, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 37.
I propose a question that clause 37 be part of the bill. No amendment. I now put the question that clause 37 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 38.
I propose a question that clause 38 be part of the bill. There is an amendment by the honorable chairperson.
Chair, I propose that the bill be amended in clause 38 as by the order paper. Chair, the amendment seeks to relieve the chairperson of the commission of the task of swearing in members and all officers of the commission. The committee, because Chair, the bill as it is now requires that the chair of the commission, that is the speaker, shall even actually witness the swearing in of officers of the commission. And I think that should not be really the business of the chair. It can be done under the leadership of the secretary of the commission. That is what we are just trying to say, that we take away that issue from the chair and allow the secretary to actually oversee the swearing in of senior officers of the commission.
Very well. Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 38 be amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, Honorable Udo.
Chair, I thought that some functions legally cannot be delegated. For example, taking the oath for senior staff can't be so cumbersome that the chair or the speaker cannot spare time to administer the oath. How many times does it anyway happen? I would really want us to, as a house, to ventilate on the matter and agree whether this amendment is necessary or not, so that we would rather retain the the chair to administer. What if somebody administers goes to workers? Whom do you hold responsible? Thank you.
Very well. Yes, Honorable Iringo.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I personally don't see this amendment necessary. And I think if it's a matter of swearing in, it's just a matter of a short while, and it happens just once. And therefore, I don't see why we should spare the chair that honor and exercise, because it's quite important exercise, but it doesn't cost much, and it cannot take much of his time. So I would request the honorable chair to withdraw that one, and we proceed. Thank you.
Let's have Honorable Janet.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just want to agree with my colleagues. No need for the secretary to swear in the commissioners. It is important so that the chair can know his role, because the commissioners are very few. There are not many. So I ask the chair to drop that one.
Shall we make progress on this?
Yeah, Chair, I'm just looking at this amendment, and unfortunately I oppose, because these are only 10 people, and this is their chairperson who is swearing them in or giving them the oath. So I do not see any problem, and I don't even know why the committee thought that the secretary is the right person to do it. Let this be given to the chairperson.
Very well. Shall we really make progress? Honorable Chair, if you could get a quick stab.
Chair, there is really nothing very serious here. I think we just wanted the chair of the commission not to do everything. And I see the mood in the House is such that they should do, oversee the swearing in by all this. So I withdraw these amendments.
Okay, very well. If you have withdrawn, that is noted. In that case, honorable members, I now put the question that clause 38 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 39, 40, 41, 42, and 43.
I propose a question that clauses 39, 40, 41, 42, 43 be part of the bill. No amendments on those I now put the question that clauses 39, 40, 41, 42, 43 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 44.
I propose a question clause 44 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment.
Yeah, Chair, I propose that the bill be amended in clause 44 as by the order paper. The committee chair, we observe that the prescriptive penalties for the convicted offenders were lenient and may not deter the committal of offenses. And that is why we are proposing to enhance that particular penalties. It is basically to ensure that whatever penalties is actually meted to offenders should be enough to deter those officers from participating in any illegal activity or committing crimes.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 44 be amended as proposed by the chair. I put the question that clause 44 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 44 be as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 45.
I put the question that clause 45 be part of the bill. There is no amendment. I now put the question that clause 45 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 46.
I propose a question that clause 46 be part of the bill. Honorable Chairperson, please move your amendment.
Chair, I propose that clause 40, the bill be amended in clause 46 as per the order paper. Chair, in view of my withdrawal of the amendments to clause 38, some of these schedules now, like, let me just explain, that provides that the clause be deleted in light of the redrafting clause 32A of the bill, which provides for the power of the Commission to make regulations for further enforcement of the provision. And so, Chair, later, there is a whole part where we are giving the powers to the Commission to make regulations as
Members, I propose a question that clause 46 be deleted, actually, as proposed by the chair. Yes, Honorable Udo.
Chair, I totally agree with the chair, but I'm just wondering, we are anticipating debate. What happens if clause 32A does not go through? And we already deleted clause 46. What happens? We need guidance.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Udo, we will get there. We shall get there. We don't know what decision the House will make on that particular one. In that case now, honorable members, I now put the question that clause 46 be deleted. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clauses 47, 48, and 49.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clauses 47, 48, 49 be part of the bill. No amendments. I now put the question that clauses 47, 48, 49 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we are done with the clauses. We will now get
new clauses. New clause 16A, 16B, 16C, 16D, 16E, 16F, 16G, and 16H.
Honorable Chair, you move the second reading of those clauses.
Chair, I propose that I move that new clauses 16A, 16B, 16C, D, 16E, 16F, 16G, 16H be read a second time. And Chair, all those proposed amendments, I wish to explain that we observe that there is need to incorporate certain provisions in the bill relating to and to provide services and facilities for activities for members of parliament. Mr. Chair, the bill as it is now tend to concentrate on provisions on matters touching on staff of the commission. And all that is provided in the new clause 16 is actually to introduce the issues, matters concerning members of parliament in the bill. Basically, that is the essence of that particular additional section 16A all the way to F.
Even honorable members, I propose a question that new clauses 16A, 16B, 16C, 16D, 16E, 16F, 16G, and 16H be now read a second time. Yes, Majority Leader.
Serious bill concerning parliamentarians and parliament. I think this, Mr. Chairman, these are very, very good amendments. Number one, it's giving the Parliamentary Service Commission and is making them under obligation in law to provide up-to-date service in terms of infrastructure, facility, staff, outsourcing, that we should, and I've said it many times, I have been here the last 13 years. Honorable Chair and Honorable Kioni and Honorable Kioni will agree with me. The chairs are the same ones they were there in the lobby. And we have a 43 billion budget. There must be an outsourcing. There must be, a Java within the President of Parliament. So if I don't want to eat in the restaurant in Parliament, I can get a fast food. So this facility is important for Parliament to have the Commission to have powers to make sure that the facilities are up to the standard of other jurisdiction. In this Parliament, there must be a holding ground for receiving even dignitaries. The Speaker receives people in his office. There should be a proper Commonwealth parliamentary office. Like other jurisdictions, we must have parliamentary parties caucus rooms. That when we want to caucus as Jubilee, there must be a designated caucus hall where our party leader can walk to. Where if ODM has, designated, this idea of going to our party headquarters. So this is why we are talking about the facilities. Our offices, our researchers, the internet must work, the gym must work. So I think, and this is a good that the Commission now, because we allocate them resources, but the resources must be in tandem with the facilities of a parliamentary jurisdiction.
Very well. Honorable. Yes. Can we first have Honorable Kioni who hasn't spoken? And then I'll get this way, I'll get Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, Chairman, thank you. In support of that amendment, I think it is important that we also make it clear, because we will soon be bashed, that we are providing things that we don't deserve. One is that if you're talking about the catering, is the services that we pay for. Two is that when you go out and visit other jurisdictions, we are actually embarrassed to invite them back home. The services that are in our parliamentary, in our parliament here, don't match at all. And Kenyans need to understand that when we say that better services needs to be offered, it has nothing to do with making our stay better. Yes. It has everything to do with improving the image of this country, improving the integrity, and we will be held with a better stature. We are here today, others will be here tomorrow. So it has nothing to do with us. It is really the country and the image of Parliament that we are improving.
Honorable Udo, briefly.
I sincerely thank the committee for this amendment. When I came here, I thought I was coming to paradise. But when I landed here, reality sank in that what I expected was not what I expected. Because I hold in the National Assembly with such exalted status, I expected things to run so smoothly, so organized, services to be such an extent far much better than what we have, that we had elsewhere. At times, I always think the University of Nairobi had better facilities and better managed than this place. I hope with these amendments, we'll be able to move to the next level to accept and acclaim the status of the National Assembly in matters of national matters. Thank you.
Briefly, Honorable Barasa.
Thank you, Chair. This is a very good amendment, but I've gone through the preliminaries. I've not seen the definition for where the Chair is saying members. Could it be, are they members of Parliament or members of the Commission itself? Some of these terms are times when you get to some level, somebody might ask, who is a member? So could it be that...
not renewable. There are some which were 4 years. But this is good. They're saying this is 5 years. I don't know where the 5 years came from. In the most commissions, it's 4 years renewable, so you serve twice 8 years. But 5 years, we have no problem. And this is in line with the Mongozo principle of the conduct. Because even speakers, they serve for 2 terms. Most of the speakers, they have served for 2 terms. This culture where a clerk wants to live in this building for 20, 30 years, it must end. Yeah, until now, you grow your head and then you're even more powerful than the speakers. So clerks must serve for 5 years. If they reach 60 years, they go home. If they don't perform well, they are sacked by the commission and they become staff. They become accounting staff. We have people who are here, and in fact, we will bring an amendment to this law that even in future, anybody who is above deputy director must be on contract based on your performance. As Honorable Professor was even saying, and somebody was saying, Honorable Kioni, that we must protect the integrity. Our parliamentary jurisdiction must be one of the best. So we must get staff who are very competent, who earn their work. We don't want to have staff where, because they are employed by one commissioner here or there, then they can't even write a good report. So clerks and any other staff, you must work very hard so that, you know, we respect the integrity of Parliament. We don't want Parliament to be the dumping ground for staff, even us, the people of our own. So I think going forward, we must have more Turkanas working in this Parliament, more Samburus, and all Kenyans must be given an opportunity. But clerks must serve for 5 years, renewable, based on the performance.
Honorable Goge. Honorable Goge, you're not speaking to this. Very well, very well. Shall we make progress on this relay? Honorable members, I put the question that new clause 17A be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I propose a question that new clause 17A be part of the bill. I now put the question that new clause 17A be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 32A.
Honorable Chair, second reading of
Chair,
new clause 32A.
I propose that the bill be amended by clause 32A be read a second time. And Chair, what we've done in this new clause 32A is to retain what is provided for in in clause 46 of the bill. But what we have done is we have been able to widen the areas where the commission can make regulations from time to time. Because if you see 46, there are few, and we have been able to widen the areas where the commission can make regulations. So basically, we deleted 46 so that we retain now new 32A. That is the basis of the amendment.
Very well. Honorable members, I propose a question that new clause 32A be now read a second time. Honorable members, I put the question that new clause 32A be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that new clause 32A be part of the bill. I now put the question that new clause 32A be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
First schedule.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the first schedule be part of the bill. No amendment on now. I now put the question that the first schedule be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Second schedule.
Honorable members, I propose that the second schedule be part of the bill. Are there amendments? There are no amendments. Yes, if you can, I can say there is some consultation on that.
The chair of the commission should be able to oversee the oath taking of all the commissioners and the staff of the commission. So that amendment was as a result of that. But now that we did not proceed with the amendment under 38, I withdraw the amendments to the third schedule.
Very well. That you have dropped the amendment on the third schedule, so that is noted. Yes, Majority Leader, you have an amendment.
Chair, because I am the owner of the bill, I need to move a further amendment to the third schedule and remove where it says I have been appointed as chairman. So I remove the word chairman. Because it is in the Constitution.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well. Very well, honorable members, I propose a question that the third schedule be amended as proposed by the Majority Leader. I now put the question that the third schedule be amended as proposed by the Majority Leader. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that the third schedule of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair, you have an amendment to that.
Chair, I propose that the bill be amended in clause 2 as by the order paper. And there are basically two amendments here. One was even the one raised by Honorable Barasa here about the definition of the word member. And that is to define that member means member of parliament. So, Honorable Barasa, I think you are now satisfied with that. The justification, Mr. Chair, is this it seeks to clarify the definition of the term secretary to include the person acting in the secretary of the commission in the absence of the secretary. The amendment thus brings on board the concerns raised by Parliamentary Service Commission regarding the definition. Chair, this is to enable, if in the absence of the commission secretary, any other person, chair, can be able to act in that position. And this is also consistent with the provisions of the Constitution under Article 259, 3A, which provides that a function or power conferred by this Constitution on an office may be performed or exercised as occasion requires by the person holding that office. So, Chair, in the event that the person holding the office is either sick or absent, then it is acceptable now. Somebody else can hold that position, which was not there before, just to clarify that position.
Very well. Honorable members, I propose a question that the clause 2 be amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, Majority Leader.
Chair, I have no problem with the one of defining a member of parliament, but I have a problem with the one of the secretary. I think we are trying to legislate an administrative matter. Because when you say, in the absence of the secretary, any other person, who is another person? You can't do that in law. If the secretary is not feeling well, is away, there is a deputy. or even the clerk of the administration, the clerk of the National Assembly will take the minutes. So I think this is creating. Let us not create any other person. Who is any other person? Is it somebody from the streets? So I really want to ask the chair, this one you have to withdraw. Sometimes don't stick to your guns. You are a good man, and you are a ranking member. So we cannot say any other person. We have never done that in law. The secretary to the commission is always there in his absence. Even the chairman, even the speaker with the chairman, if he's away, there is a vice chair. Even where the vice chair is away, another member administratively will chair. You're over-legislating, and furthermore, you can say another person. In fact, that is very dangerous.
Very well. You get a chance. Let's start from Honorable Janet. Chair, will give you a chance.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, it is not even clear. Is it about when the commissioners are being sworn in, or is it about sharing the?
Very well.
Yes.
Very well. Very well. Honorable, yes, let's start with Honorable Sankoko, then we come to Honorable Udo.
Chair, according to Mwongozo, it is very simple that once the secretary is not available, the deputy secretary or the members now appoint another person to act as a secretary, but you don't have to bring that one in law. It is there, it is in the Mwongozo Code of Conduct, so you don't have to, sometimes you go deep until you actually stick yourself into the mud. So let us just forget about it. Withdraw, please, Chairman.
Honorable, unless Honorable Chair, you are withdrawing, I will still give Honorable Udo. Honorable
Chair.
If you're not withdrawing, I'll give you last.
Of course, you agree with me. We are saying the same thing. We are saying the same thing, Chair. Because
Honorable Chair,
the wording is...
Honorable Chair, I'll give you a chance. Why don't you then listen to these two members here, Honorable Udo and Honorable Shimo. Then we come back to you, Chair.
Chair, I think in that particular section, we intend to define or conceptualize the office that holds that particular position. And in the Constitution of Kenya, Article 127(3) is very categorical. Who is the secretary to the Parliamentary Service Commission? Any other definition, Mr. Chair, I don't want to say it's mischievous, but probably it's unconstitutional, and probably has got adult, I don't want to use any other word, but it's just unconstitutional. We are just doing what's not necessary. Thank you.
Very well, Honorable Shimo. Briefly.
Thank you, Chair. I also feel that Chair should drop that amendment because it's over-registrating. Because when he says that the secretary, when the secretary is absent, any other person exercising the function of a secretary, it is the same thing. Why should we have it as an amendment? Actually, they should be dropped because it goes without saying that any other person who has the authority and the mandate to exercise the powers of a secretary in his absence will take control.
Very well.
Then there is no need of having that amendment.
We'll be closing this debate shortly. Honorable Menen.
Chair, I seek your indulgence. I think from the Constitution, the chairman of the Parliamentary Service Commission is the Speaker. So guide me, I need guidance. What does the Constitution say regarding the Secretary of the Parliamentary Service Commission? It is the clerk of the Senate. Now, Mr. Speaker, so if it is the clerk, Speaker, are we supposed to go against the Constitution? That means he has to withdraw, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, very well. Honorable Kenan.
Mr. Chairman, let me make this crystal clear. The Constitution under Article 127 is so explicit. The Secretary of the Parliamentary Service Commission is the clerk Senate. In his absence, in case the secretary to the commission is absent. The person who deputizes is the deputy clerk senate. That is in the constitution, and therefore let's leave it there because, and that is the way it is, and therefore over legislating here does not make any sense. And I urge my brother here, Cheptumo, to withdraw because he's already catered for in the constitution.
Honorable Chair, finally.
Before I withdraw, Chair, let me say that there is nothing wrong with this amendment, but because basically what we are saying is that whoever is the other person, it's okay in the function.
What
Chair,
is
I have the floor.
Oh, yes, but he's rising on a point of order.
I am standing
I will
on a
stop
point
him
of
if he is
order.
contributing.
Can you have your chair?
Honorable Chair, he is on a point of order.
Is the Honorable Chair of Justice and Legal Affairs in order to say that after we have even given the unconstitutionality of his amendment, that what we are saying, what he's saying is just the same? No. After Professor spoke, after the next governor of Turkana has spoken, after Kainan has spoken, after Songok has spoken, we are telling you the deputy, in the absence of the secretary, who is the clerk of the Senate, in his absence, it is the
name you call. No, I'm not even amending. So Chair, since I have had members saying, and I think, Chair, in the interest of us moving forward, and withdrawing this does not at all negate the principle of the law we are passing today. So I withdraw and this amendment, and we proceed together. But Chair, I withdraw A, yes. Yeah, but the others to remain.
Very well, honorable members, honorable Chair, withdraws part A, but part B still remains as an amendment from the Chair. Shall I now put the question on part B? Or still an amendment, nevertheless, with that expressed drop on part A by the honorable Chair. Honorable members, I propose a question that, I now put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 2, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the title be the title of the bill. There's no amendment on that. I now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 1 be part of the bill. There's no amendment on that. I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? Yeah. The ayes have it. Honorable Ken, it's good we be together. It has been a long day anyway. Yes, mover.
To a motion. I am giving, Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Parliamentary Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2018, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Honorable members, I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Parliamentary Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2018, and its approval thereof with amendments. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Honorable members, order. Other members? Other members? Chairperson?
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Parliamentary Service Bill, National Assembly Bill number 6 of 2018, and approved the same with amendments. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Roel, mover.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request Honorable Chair of Legal Affairs to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
I second, Mr. Chairman. Speaker.
Honorable members, allow me to propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I see some interest in this from the Honorable Undo.
Chair, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank the drafters of the bill. At least it gives meaning to work at Parliament. It gives us purpose. It allows us now to deliver or to execute our mandate in an environment that acknowledges the critical importance Parliament plays in this country. Mr. Speaker, as we stand here today, members of Parliament seems to be under bashing by every Tom, Dick, and Harry, everybody on the streets. Everywhere you go, many times you are treated below the rank of even junior civil servants. We do hope that once the act is signed by the President, and whatever has been provided for will essentially be implemented. Secondly, I'm impressed by the call for capacity building, skill improvement for members of Parliament. Many of us come from diverse professions, many come from diverse backgrounds. It takes a bit of time to get comfortable and learn the ropes. And that's why the Mwananchi report, whatever it's called, that was released the other day, caused a lot of heat and emotions in the country and hit quite a number of us in our constituencies. We do hope that now we have a bill that has institutionalized training and capacity building. It will allow our members to move forward. Mr. Speaker, all along, many of us have had reservations about the quality and capability and capacity of the various clerk and staff that serve the various committees. We do hope now with the new bill in place, the Parliamentary Service Commission will undertake massive retraining of our clerks so they move in tandem with the expected quality of reports and affairs. Because indeed, quite a number of them have capacity issues. With those few remarks, I support the bill and I ask the members to support it. Thank you.
The Honorable Leader of Majority.
Chair, before first I move my committal, allow me to say only one thing. There are those who are saying that this bill contains increment of salaries for members of Parliament. I tell them, shame on you. Those who say that members of Parliament are using Parliamentary Service Commission bill for their own selfish interests, we are telling them, shame on you. Because, Mr. Speaker, this House has passed act operationalizing a number of commissions from the 10th Parliament. Teacher Service Commission, Land Commission, Judicial Service Commission, name them. EACC, DPP. It was very sad and very, very shameful for Parliament to have a commission which doesn't have an act of Parliament that can be used for its operationalization. So this afternoon, we have done that business. But because we had an issue with Section 38, because we removed chair. The chair is automatic. It's in the Constitution. Chair, I beg to move that the motion of agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House be amended by inserting the following words, subject to recommittal of clause 38.
Roel, you have a seconder? Proceed, the Honorable Kenan.
Mr. Speaker, let me second this recommittal. Service delivery and this bill will inform the critical task of members of parliament, not only on oversight, not only on legislation and budget making, but in rebuilding the image of parliament as a critical, I will call it the first arm in our governance structure, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know there are a lot of people who have been misinformed. And that's why once in a while I've been calling the Honorable Dr. Munundo, because I know once in a while that he may have been privy to certain other creative imaginations which are not part of this bill. But Mr. Speaker, I want to thank what he said. I want to thank, because this is a deliberative house. Come before the house, expound on your issues, deliberate, make Kenyans understand, and what the final decision that you make is what will inform the content of that bill. Mr. Speaker, secondly, I know the Jailer Committee has also had an opportunity to consider this and subjected this bill to public participation. Some of the amendments must have been informed.
The Honorable Kenan, I think your remit at this level is not to make comments generally, but to second the recommittal. I propose.
Okay, I second
I
the
will give you an
recommittal, Mr.
opportunity.
Speaker.
I'll give you an opportunity after.
Okay, I second the recommittal, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honourable members, I then propose the question that the motion for agreement with the report of the committee of the whole House be amended by inserting the following words, subject to the recommittal of clause 38. The Honourable Kenan, you can now say all those other things that you are desirous of saying. I'll still give
Mr. Speaker, I was saying the Parliamentary Service Commission is one of the constitutional commissions under Chapter 15 of our Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the framers of the current Constitution, Mr. Speaker, had in mind when Mr. Speaker, under Article 127, in their own wisdom, decided to have the Parliamentary Service Commission, Mr. Speaker, a representative commission, Mr. Speaker, that is supposed to deal with the first arm. I will always say the first arm in our governance structure is Parliament, because that is where the people, have bestowed their elective power, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, coming back to this particular bill, Mr. Speaker, being one of the commissioners, we have been subjected to a lot of rumor mongering, to a lot of regional talks, a lot of trivialization of certain critical aspects of this particular bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to put it on record that this particular bill did not have any particular issue in mind. The idea was, and I will say this, Mr. Speaker, in all, as part of, and this is why if we do not do this today, we will have been condemned. Mr. Speaker, under Chapter 15 of the Constitution, I'm glad that you are a lawyer, we enacted the Land Commission Act on was enacted on 2012, Mr. Speaker. The Independent Electoral and Boundary Commission, Mr. Speaker, was enacted on 2017. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act, Mr. Speaker, was enacted in 2016. The Judicial Service Commission Act, Mr. Speaker, was enacted on 2011. The Commission on Revenue Allocation, Mr. Speaker, was enacted on 2012. The Public Service Commission, Mr. Speaker, was enacted in 2017. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission, Mr. Speaker, was enacted in 2018. The Teacher Service Commission, Mr. Speaker, was enacted in 2012. The National Police Service Commission was enacted in 2014. The Kenya National Human Rights Commission and Equality Commission, Mr. Speaker, were enacted on 2012 and 2011, respectively. And the Parliamentary Service Commission, Mr. Speaker, today. And yet, this is the deliberative house. This is the house that is tasked with the passage of this critical. The question is, how comes we enacted laws concerning all the other constitutional commissions and aligned them with the current constitution, and yet the one concerning Parliament is the last one, actually, and we are doing it today? It's simply because of certain political undertones. And these are things that we must overcome as the true representative of the people of Kenya. And this is why I want to thank the members for their understanding, for their appreciation, Mr. Speaker, and for their timely decision on this particular bill. And I want to undertake, on behalf of the Commission, and I want to shame those who have been attributing certain misleading creative imagination on this bill, that nowhere in this bill does the Parliamentary Service Commission purport to increase the remuneration of members of Parliament. Have you seen anywhere in this bill? You can't. And therefore I want to ask, those who have been propagating, those who have been talking ill of Parliament, those who have been abusing the leadership of this House, that today, because you have seen the content of this bill, you are familiar with this, I want to tell you, sorry, we will not be cowed, we will not be ashamed in doing the right things, and what Parliament has done today is the right thing, and therefore I hope and pray that once His Excellency the President assents to this, this will see a transformative improvement in service delivery and the image of Parliament. And with this, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the members for their time and for their support to this particular bill. Thank you, members, and I can assure you that you will see an enhanced and improved service delivery on the part of the Commission, which is chaired by our able Speaker, the Honorable J.B. Muturi, and all the other 9 commissioners. Thank you, members.
Very well, the Honorable Nduati, you have something to say to this? Very well, the Honorable Member for Ndaragwa, the Honorable Kioni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to say a few words in support of this bill and the committee that we have just talked. One is that when we are dealing with the issue of the status of implementation of this constitution, we have 3 arms of government. And while we have gone to give the examples of the other commissions, including the Human Rights Commission, the Anti-Corruption Commission, or the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, you can only compare this commission to the other 2 commissions, the Public Service Commission and the Judicial Service Commission. So we had one arm of government without an act of Parliament. And it is a very important thing that we have done today because it goes a step further in ensuring that we have implemented the Constitution so that Kenyans can continue benefiting from what we intended from the day one. 2, Mr. Speaker, is that it is important that we make it clear that this bill does not provide for us or for me as a member of Parliament for Daragwa, but it provides for the institution of Parliament that will be there long after we are gone, and it is not meant to give ourselves any privileges over the other. But I think, Mr. Speaker, also this bill helps elevate or make it clear to some extent the role of a member of Parliament. I know the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, I'm told, pegged members of Parliament at position 45. I think in the lack of wisdom, if I may say so. 46, I'm told. But Mr. Speaker, the issue is that a member of Parliament, if you look at it and even leading, the institution of Parliament is one of the very important institutions in the matrix of the whole of governance of this country. And this bill may help us try and clear that misinformation that seems to have found its way in the minds of even some governors and others. But finally, Mr. Speaker, it is important that the Commission, as they read this bill and as they seek to implement, to ensure that members of Parliament, this Parliament and other parliaments, are never ever again reduced to the level of beggars. That was the case before in the 80s and 90s, and it did not serve this country at all. We need to ensure that members of Parliament, not that they should be over-provided, but they are not reduced to the level where they cannot represent the people who elected them, for the reason that they cannot even fend for themselves, they cannot be able to move around, and they must be seen like people who are in this place by mistake. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I beg to support that committee.
Very well, honorable members, I think this is a job that is done. It's good to leave it where it is now. I will direct that the next necessary steps in regard to this particular bill be undertaken when the matter is set down again for consideration. I see the chair wanted to say something, but the chair, you've heard your fair bite on it. Chair, I'll give you probably just 1 minute, if it's really burning.
Chair and Speaker, I just want to thank my colleagues and also to thank members of my committee. And this negative perception, Chair and Speaker, which has always been put forward by either the newspapers or other leaders, that this law is meant to benefit members of parliament. Chair and Speaker has actually been able to be disapproved today. As Honorable Kainan said, every clause of this bill has nothing at all to give the impression that we are using this law to benefit ourselves. And so I want to thank members of the Legal Affairs Committee, to thank also all members who have been able to have time to debate this particular bill. And I believe, Speaker, that from today, as this law will be put, the President to assent to into law, that the Commission shall then be able to be enabled legally to facilitate the functions of members of Parliament, just like the Judicial Service Commission is actually facilitating the judges, Court of Appeal judges, the magistrates, and so on. Just like the public servants are being facilitated by the Public Service Commission. Therefore, even this commission should be able to facilitate members of this House to function. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Wambugu, what is so urgent that has not been said?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I actually just wanted to add my thoughts to this particular bill. Mr. Speaker, the chairman has explained that the role of the commission is to facilitate the operations of this House. I see it going a step further. The role of the commission is also to protect the capacity of this House to function. Parliament is one of three arms of government, actually the second arm of government. I think there is this misconception in the public that the only thing that PSC does is to discuss the salaries and the remuneration of members of Parliament. And one of the things I'm going to be hoping is going to happen when this commission is fully operational is to make sure, or when we have finished, when we have executed what we've just done today, is to establish a proper and fully funded communications department within the Public Service Commission. We need to have, with the Parliamentary Service Commission, we need to have an outfit that actually communicates and explains to the public the role and the things that Parliament is doing. Mr. Speaker, it's very unfortunate that a lot of the times the public has no idea what Parliament has been doing the whole day unless we have a conversation about remuneration. And then it goes in as a headline, and it becomes that Parliament spent the whole day discussing their salaries. While we have been here every day, 3 days a week for 3 months. But the one day that we talk about salaries is the day we make it into headline news. We have passed laws, we have made amendments, we'll have done a lot of work for 2 months, 3 months, but then every now and again, the only thing that the public gets to hear about what we are doing is that we discussed remuneration. And that's why, in my opinion, it is going to be critical to, just the same way the presidency, for example, and the executive has government communications, the same way I know that the JSC creates its own communications capacity. I think it's going to be important for for our commission, to actually have a strategic and deliberate, to make a deliberate effort to communicate to the public, not just when we have a crisis, or not just when we are having a problem, but consistently and all the time. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Wambugu, you're absolutely right. But you must also remember that Parliament is the only arm of government that conducts its entire business in the glare of the public on a daily basis. So we are out there. Everything we do is out there. The rest of the other arms of government, they operate in under an opaque cloud, and it's only what they wish the public to hear that they put out there. So that is maybe the difference. Honorable members, kindly let us make progress on this. I think we have said enough on this. I have already directed that the next necessary steps will be undertaken when the matter will be set down for consideration. I'll therefore direct that we move to the next business. There's nothing out of order, the Honorable Lominen. What is out of order? Let me hear you.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. It's a point of order, and also there is point of information. I come from far, the farthest corner of this continent. Mr. Speaker, yes, it is a continent. Mr. Speaker, before I leave this house, Mr. Speaker, I really ask you, with all the utmost faith, to give me 5 seconds to advise the commissioners of the commission we are passing today. Mr. Speaker, there is a burning issue. We have commissioners of the Parliamentary Service Commission. Speaker, I am the vice chairman of National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity. Mr. Speaker, it is not in order. It is not in order, Speaker. When you are a commissioner or a staff of the Parliamentary Service Commission, you use your position that you have been given to marginalize, to suppress, to neglect those other regions that are not in commission, Mr. Speaker. And in that relation, Mr. Speaker,
the Honorable Luminen, you may be having grievances, but this is not the opportunity to air them.
thank you, Speaker,
So-
but I've said they have heard, God has heard, other people also have heard, and I think
The
they will
Honorable
rectify.
Luminen, you are out of order.
Thank you, Speaker.
Very well. Let's make progress. The next business.
Order number 13, motion. Report on the inquiry into the proposed Kenya Airways privately initiated investment proposal to Kenya Airports Authority.
Chair Transport.
I thank you, Honorable Speaker. I really thank you for this great opportunity you have given me this afternoon to be able to move this very critical report, which has been read, Honorable Speaker, which will give direction in aviation in this country. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move. And I move by saying, Honorable Speaker, that the committee considered the submissions made by the stakeholders. Actually, Honorable Speaker, this took our committee more than 6 months of public participation up and down, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, we're saying that we had these stakeholders and noted that the PIIP, which originated this discussion, Honorable Speaker, where we are, does not present a viable option for restoring Nairobi as the civil aviation hub of choice, Honorable Speaker, in Africa and in the whole world. Honorable Speaker, it is also true that, Honorable Speaker, the committee further noted that taking into account Kenya Airways, KQ's current financial status, which is struggling, Honorable Speaker, and the current lack of competitiveness of Kenya's aviation industry, the government and the people of Kenya, very critical, Honorable Speaker, stands to lose the most in the event that the trend is left unchecked or could continue, noting that, Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Airways debtors enjoy a sovereign guarantee of up to 75 billion Kenyan shillings. Honorable Speaker, appreciating the policy adopted by the Cabinet through a Cabinet memo with regard to consolidation of the country's aviation assets and re-establishment of Nairobi and Jomo Kenyatta as a competitive international aviation hub, Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends the following. Number one, Honorable Speaker, that Kenya Airways be nationalized. Number two, Honorable Speaker, the government establishes an aviation holding company with 4 wholly owned subsidiaries, namely A, JKIA company be incorporated to manage JKIA as an international hub and to also do, Honorable Speaker, ground handling services and catering services. B, Honorable Speaker, second subsidiary is Kenya Airports Authority with the revived mandate of managing the remaining airports in this country and airstrips. Under its new mandate, Honorable Speaker, they shall maintain, very critical, they shall maintain at least 1 serviceable airstrip in our 47 counties for purposes of security, health, and other emergencies, Honorable Speaker, like examination, delivering of examination materials or election materials. The third subsidiary under this aviation holding company, Honorable Speaker, is Kenya Airways as our national carrier, our national pride. And fourth, Honorable Speaker, that we have a centralized aviation services college, Honorable Speaker. At the moment, they are separated here and there. The third recommendation, Honorable Speaker, and the fourth and fifth, Honorable Speaker, in our report touches on the proposed amendments that we are proposing, Honorable Speaker, should this report be adopted, which we are asking the House to adopt and agree with us, Honorable Speaker, touches then those recommendations touches on the legal provisions that we are seeking to be able to operate the new institution. This is going to be history, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, those recommendations which I've just mentioned touches on the specific parts of legislation that we'll be seeking should the House adopt our report, Honorable Speaker, so that we can operationalize this very important institution. The sixth, Honorable Speaker, and a very critical recommendation as well, will be, is a recommendation that is again further clarifying some of the recommendations that we are making so that we can be able to even uplift the carrier, the national carrier, Honorable Speaker, which I will explain in detail in a short while. And particularly, Honorable Speaker, in this recommendation, which is very important for the nation, is that our committee is recommending that out of what we call air passenger service charge, out of that, Honorable Speaker, we are proposing that 20% of air passenger service charge should be ring-fenced and committed for purposes of maintaining the other airstrips. Because, Honorable Speaker, there was a fear that what happens with other airstrips in this country? What will happen? And therefore, for the first time in history, Honorable Speaker, our committee has taken a bold decision to help the country. That then we have 20%, meaning, but Honorable Speaker, meaning that if we make Jomo Kenyatta Airport as an international hub to raise our resources, those resources which are going to be raised from that facility, Honorable Speaker, will benefit the whole country, so that the responsibility of making Jomo Kenyatta Airport perform the best is entire responsibility of the country. And the resources that are coming from Jomo Kenyatta should be shared, Honorable Speaker, across the country, so that the country then develops in a very uniform manner, Honorable Speaker. That is recommendation 7 and 8, Honorable Speaker, again, are the same recommendations that we are saying that we are seeking further amendments in a various number of legislation, Honorable Speaker, which members will see in the report to operationalize this institution or this direction that we have given, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, a very important question, after mentioning that, Honorable Speaker, is how did we reach there? How did we go there in terms of having those recommendations? I want to share with the House, Honorable Speaker, that you guided us when this issue was introduced in the House, particularly when we had a problem with the PIP, of course, the privately initiated proposal by KQ to KA. It brought a lot of uproar in the country, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, you gave directions. And you really guided the House and the nation that my committee, Honorable Speaker, then seizes the matter. And in so doing, you directed that we look at policy issues. You directed, Honorable Speaker, that we look at compliance with the due process of law. In that respect, you also went on, Honorable Speaker, to direct that we look at issues that are of concern to the people of Kenya as it is being expressed under Article 95, subsection 2, Honorable Speaker. This is in the report that you guided the House. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, we subjected our inquiry into the criteria you have given us, and that is why, Honorable Speaker, if you look at our report, it is chaptered alongside what you guided, Honorable Speaker, in terms of all those items. And therefore, Speaker, we delve into the matter. So we called for the PIP to the committee, and it was brought to us, Honorable Speaker. We looked at it. What was it about? It was very brief, Honorable Speaker. Just to summarize for the House. The PIP was actually saying that Kenya Airways takes over Jomo Kenyatta. In other words, taking over the resources of Jomo Kenyatta, and the KQ as it is, Honorable Speaker. Then the questions were raised critically. How will that help KQ and even help the country? And therefore, Honorable Speaker, using the criteria you have given, or you gave, Honorable Speaker, we did a very extensive, one of the most extensive public participation that we have ever had as a committee, Honorable Speaker. We brought in the ministry, we brought in Kenya Airways, KAA, KCA, everybody that deals with these issues of aviation, including Treasury, AG, and even also, Speaker, we brought in the groups or unions that protect the staff in KAA or KCA and also KQ, Honorable Speaker. And also brought in the pilots. We had the best opportunity to interact with pilots. So what are we looking at, Honorable Speaker? We called the ministry and told them, okay, well, this PIP, in our understanding as a committee, is a strategy for you to answer something, which is a miss or which is a gap in policy. So we asked them, Honorable Speaker, what did you want to achieve as a ministry and as government? What did you want to achieve that you are using the PIIP to be able to address, so that we can be able to look as a people of Kenya and say, maybe was that the best strategy you're using? So when the ministry appeared, Honorable Speaker, they gave us a very sad picture of aviation. And this is very critical, Honorable Speaker, and I want to ask the House, our committee looked at it from the aviation point of view, rather than reducing this matter to KQ. When you reduce to KQ, Honorable Speaker, it becomes a debate. We lose the direction. So we looked at the policy direction, which the ministry had, and we asked them, give us the policy direction. What did you have? You know, Honorable Speaker, we saw a very bad picture in our aviation. And these are the evidence, Honorable Speaker, that I want to share with the House, the evidence that we found that actually this country, we are losing in aviation. Number one, Honorable Speaker, what we found out that Kenya is losing its market in aviation. We are losing our competitiveness, Honorable Speaker, in Africa, the whole nation, in aviation sector. So what demonstrates that, Honorable Speaker? What was presented to this committee is as follows, that within the last 6 years, the share of JKIA in East Africa traffic dropped, Honorable Speaker, from 50% to 34%. That is not something to celebrate, Honorable Speaker, in terms of our aviation. It cannot be celebrated, Honorable Speaker. While Bole International Airport, which is our close neighbor, Ethiopia, was growing, Honorable Speaker, its market share from 30% to 44%. So actually, if you look at it, that mathematics, they were actually taking away our share. In policy, Honorable Speaker, we were losing in aviation. Number two, Honorable Speaker, Kenya Airways market share dropped between 2015 and 2017 by 4%, while Ethiopian was growing by 20%. We were losing in aviation, Honorable Speaker. Those are the facts, and facts, Honorable Speaker, don't lie. We went on, Honorable Speaker, to establish that within the last decade, that is 10 years, can you imagine our neighbor, which is smaller in economy than our own country, Ethiopia? And we didn't want to look at massive airlines, Honorable Speaker, like Qatar as primary comparison. We wanted to look at what is within our own local territory. Honorable Speaker, what was happening with them? Honorable Speaker, Ethiopian airline was tripling in terms of passengers. And this is true, Honorable Speaker. Just look at these figures, that within the same time I'm telling you, they were increasing their passengers to 10 million. While our own Kenya Airways was carrying only 4.8 million. And that is a country that is a small economy than ourselves, Honorable Speaker. We were losing in aviation, Honorable Speaker. It is getting even bad. Honorable Speaker, we went on and we were given other facts. And all the people who appeared before us, Honorable Speaker, were sharing the same thing, that we were losing in aviation. So, Honorable Speaker, what did we further found? We found out that Ethiopian airline has gradually grown. And currently, Honorable Speaker, it has 153 destinations and a fleet of 100 of them, and they have ordered 59 as we speak. And when you compare with our Kenya Airways, we have only 53 destinations and only 40 aircrafts, nothing more than that. Honorable Speaker, the picture is not very clear. It's not very clean for our country. Kenya Airways also, Honorable Speaker, were making losses because of the model which they are operating. And it cannot be allowed to proceed in the same manner, because then what's going to happen? We will lose as a people of Kenya, as I said in my introductory remarks, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, currently in Africa, we only operate 45 routes. Our competitors are operating from 77 routes and above, Honorable Speaker. So when you look at it in that view, and there are so many examples that I can proceed and continue to give, Honorable Speaker, and members can find in our report, we then realize, Honorable Speaker, that it is true we were losing in aviation. And that is a very sad state. What does that mean, Honorable Speaker, in simple terms, to the people who, to a layman's understanding? What is very simple is that, Honorable Speaker, when we continue losing in aviation, then Kenya Airways and our hub, which is Nairobi, will collapse. So when Kenya Airways collapse, what does that mean? It means other countries that are growing in aviation, like Ethiopia, Rwanda, Qatar, will then pick us from Nairobi when we are going to Europe to their countries first, and then later deliver us to Europe where we are going. That is not where Kenya wants to go, Honorable Speaker. And therefore we realized that there was a problem in aviation. There is a problem in aviation, Honorable Speaker, and that is how we approach this debate. And I'm asking the House and the people of Kenya, Honorable Speaker, that if we approach this debate like this, we will help our country. My committee, and I thank my committee, Honorable Speaker, when we realized that, we said, doing nothing is not an option. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, we came up with the recommendations which I have just mentioned to you. So why did we go the nationalization way? Honorable Speaker, we looked at it. There are two reasons why we went nationalization. Number one, Honorable Speaker, we realized that the competitors of Kenya Airways around Africa are national. Why are they national? So that they can be able to, and they are benefiting, because they are national, they are benefiting from heavy government subsidy. They are being subsidized. And because they are being subsidized, they can reduce the air tickets as cheap as even below Kenya Airways as it is. Because one of the criticism we are giving Kenya Airways is that why are you having high tickets? They're having high tickets because, Honorable Speaker, they are not getting any subsidy from our government. Why are they not getting subsidy? Because they are not national. It is a private airline. So how can a private airline get some government subsidies? That was the debate. And we realized, Honorable Speaker, in the interviews and our research that airlines which are not getting government subsidies are dying. One of them is Kenya Airways, which is ourselves, and another one South Africa, and the Seychelles. The ones that are getting government subsidies are actually hitting the roof. They are benefiting, Honorable Speaker, because they can then bring down their prices, their tickets. Bring down their tickets will actually kill Kenya Airways. That's why it was killing. The model upon which Kenya Airways is operating, Honorable Speaker, is very uncompetitive in the region. And I said, and we said, Honorable Speaker, other countries are playing monkey business to ourselves as a country. And it cannot be business as usual. And that is why we went nationalization, so that Kenya Airways, we can agree as a people that this is our national resource, then we need to help it as a government. For us to have that debate to help it, Honorable Speaker, as we have suggested in our report, we need to make it national. That way, if we succeed and the House agrees with us, and it gets government subsidies, then the air ticket will come down. If you ask people now, Honorable Speaker, unless now ask parliamentarians who are forced by government to travel on Kenya Airways, if you ask somebody naturally, they don't want to travel Kenya Airways, why? It's expensive. Now we have found the reason why it's expensive. So should we make it, should the House agree with us and we give it their subsidies, then, Honorable Speaker, let me tell you, then we will enjoy. We can even make our air tickets even cheaper than Emirates, cheaper than Ethiopian Airlines. What does that mean, Honorable Speaker? We will then bring a lot of people to Nairobi. Then we make our money as a country from the multiplier effect of having the best KQ. That is the best direction, Honorable Speaker, that we found. Who are using this model? The Ethiopian Airlines, which I've just mentioned, Rwanda Airlines, Qatar, Emirates, Morocco, name them, Honorable Speaker, these successful airlines. They're using this model, which we have gone. So we are not taking our country to uncharted waters. We are taking our country where it has been proved to be successful. And we are pleading with this House to understand with us, Honorable Speaker, like that. That is the reason why we are going nationalization, so that we give KQ the same treatment as others are given outside the Honorable Speaker. And I'm telling you, within 2 years, Honorable Speaker, or 3 years, God willing, then the others will be crying and coming to Nairobi. We don't want to lift Kenyans, stop them in Ethiopia or Qatar before they go to Europe, because we have killed our own aviation sector, Honorable Speaker. That is the reason, or part of the reasons we agreed as my committee we go nationalization way. So why do we create an aviation holding company? That is in our recommendation number 2. Honorable Speaker, what motivated this committee, and we're asking the House to agree with us, is that we found that the aviation assets in our country were working at cross purposes. What was happening? Kenya Airways was not talking to KA. KA was not talking to Kenya Airways. So what was happening? They were competing, Honorable Speaker. How can they compete? And that is why we are losing. In Jomo Kenyatta, we are losing competitiveness and we're losing market. Because our national airliner is not talking with the operator. And we say it cannot be business as usual. They must talk. How can Kenya Airways write a letter to the ministry and the ministry writes to KA for them to talk while they can meet in a boardroom and solve these issues, Honorable Speaker, without bureaucracies? That is the reason why we said they should be held together so that they can then enjoy the services of being at home. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, the reason why we went the aviation holding way is we realize Kenya Airways is paying for parking at home in Jomo Kenyatta here. And that is what is contributing to the losses which are being declared. It is paying up to a tune of 2 billion a year at home. We looked at what's happening with Qatar, they are not paying at home. And even if they are paying, the same money is coming again to be spent, which means they are not paying. Emirates, they are not paying. Ethiopia, they are not paying. We are the only people paying at home. And we ask ourselves as a committee and members of this country, you don't pay your parking, Mr. Speaker, at your own home. You drive your car, your own, you park, you relax, it is in your house. We also don't pay here in Parliament. So why would we have a national airliner, which is the pride of the country, which is carrying our flag, which is then making millions of this country in terms of multiply effect? Why are they paying at home? That's why we are claiming and saying, oh, they are making losses. How are they making losses? They are paying for parking. How do people pay parking at home? For that synergy then to come in, Honorable Speaker, that is why we resorted as a committee to say, let us have a holding company so that these people can talk together. Once they talk together, Honorable Speaker, you know what's going to happen? Then all these things will be sorted out, like parking, paying for parking at home and so on. The third reason why we went that holding company, Honorable Speaker, is that when we have these assets held together, we leverage on the capital, Honorable Speaker. What does that mean? It means that then if you have one holding company, then even the financial books of Kenya Airways, financial books of KA and JKI will improve. Meaning, Honorable Speaker, that if the balance sheet is better, then when we are leasing planes, we can get them in cheaper price, Honorable Speaker. But when the risk exposure as it is for Kenya Airways now, to go outside there and try to lease or buy planes, Honorable Speaker, they are buying at a very expensive price. And that is the reason why they are making losses. They are paying a lot of money on leasing. Once we succeed and the House agrees with us, you know what's going to happen, Honorable Speaker? They are going to renegotiate again for those leases. Because now the balance sheet is better and the risk reduces from what it is. Kenya Airways now, Honorable Speaker, is exposed to the highest risk. They cannot get any assistance outside this country, except our country. That is why we have guaranteed them to about 75 billion from ourselves. Why? Because the balance sheet and the risk exposure is too high. That is the reason why, Honorable Speaker, we went this direction. And we are asking the House, then, Honorable Speaker, to agree with us in this direction. We will change the country, Honorable Speaker, if we go in this direction. Honorable Speaker, there are also a number of issues that were raised along the way when we were discussing this, Honorable Speaker. And I want to share with the House some of the issues which then affected people after going that direction, Honorable Speaker, which need to be clarified, and I want to clarify. As a committee, Honorable Speaker, we found out people were saying that maybe some unknown faces were hiding in what we call leasing companies, Honorable Speaker. Yes, Kenya Airways is leasing planes. Kenya Airways has 40 planes, so we have 40 planes as a country. 3 of them, we own them 100%. 17 are on loan. 20 are on leasing. And then, Honorable Speaker, there was suspicion that some people were saying, maybe some unknown faces are hiding in those leasing companies to fleece Kenya Airways. I want to share with the House, Honorable Speaker, that is not true. That, Honorable Speaker, we are actually leasing from reputable organizations that lease planes, Honorable Speaker, in the world. And I have them, Honorable Speaker, and it is my report. But for the benefit of the House, I want to just take maybe 2 or 3. Like one, Honorable Speaker, here, we have one which is called Irrigation, which is based in Dublin. It has 1,153 planes, Honorable Speaker, that they own. They lease out to the world there. We as Kenya Airways, as a country, if you allow me to use that word, Honorable Speaker, we are leasing one from them. But we are not the only one who are leasing from them. There are a number of companies, which I have put in my report, Honorable Speaker. But some of them include what? Include Cathay Pacific, Air China, many companies, Honorable Speaker. These are reputable organizations. Another, Honorable Speaker, is called Aviation Capital Group, which is based in USA. Kenya Airways is leasing 3 planes. How many planes do they have? 297, Honorable Speaker. So where are some of these faces that people are saying maybe some individuals are hiding into some of these companies so that they can be able to fleece money from Kenya Airways? It's not true, Honorable Speaker. It's not true. And I want to demonstrate to the House that it's not true. It is a lie. But it's a demonstration, Honorable Speaker, that people want to say that maybe some people are hiding into that. Another one, Honorable Speaker, the 20 planes that 17 planes that we have taken on loan. We have taken a loan, Honorable Speaker, or the country, or Kenya Airways has taken a loan, because members are asking me, who is, but we are hearing some people, Honorable Chairman, who are these? We are hearing a company called Savo. We are hearing another one called Samburu. And they are saying, maybe these companies are some people who are hiding their names into those companies. So where is who? These are reputable banks that you and I have also borrowed money. We have bought 7 planes from them, or Kenya Airways have bought 7 planes from that facility. So who is Samburu? Samburu, Honorable Speaker, Kenya Airways are used to buy 13 planes. And 10 planes. And Samburu is Standard Chartered Bank and Afro-Exim Bank. Who does not bank with Standard? Well, most of the people here bank with Standard. These are known banks, Honorable Speaker. So that's why the reason why we are saying, Honorable Speaker, that Honorable Speaker, these are some of the things, Honorable Speaker, that we are talking about and giving good information. A good example, Honorable Speaker, the 10 banks which have loaned also KQ, converted themselves into Kenya Airways Lending Company. So it is a choice of banks coming together, agreeing to call themselves whichever name. Maybe it was a mistake for them to call themselves, this bank which I'm talking about, Honorable Speaker, that they are called Savo and they are called Samburu. These are some of the things, Honorable Speaker, that are almost misled the country, Honorable Speaker. And in that respect, Honorable Speaker, then what are we saying? We are saying that with good information, we can be able to help our country. And if there is a time that leadership is called upon, Honorable Speaker, it is now in this country, particularly in aviation. We've done what we are supposed to do as a country, Honorable Speaker, and as your committee, to be able to dissect, to be able to listen to everybody, and they are agreeing that, Honorable Speaker, let us help aviation. Look this way, Honorable Speaker, and this is what I want to plead with the country and the House. In terms of transport, Honorable Speaker, if we put our concentration on making profits from the first line of investment, then we are lost, Honorable Speaker. In transport, we should put our concentration in terms of making profits from the multiply effect of the transport installation. What am I trying to say, Honorable Speaker? That if, for example, we own planes or we own ships, as we have done yesterday, Honorable Speaker, or we own matatus, then that we should be thinking about how will we move a lot of people so that those people come and do business in our country and we make our money. If we want to make our money from then fast installation, service, then we are going to make transport very expensive. And that is the reason how we have pushed Kenya Airways. Because it is a private entity, their interest is not to help the people of Kenya. Their interest is to make money for shareholders. That is the business of a private entity. It's not its responsibility to say, how do we make people move so that then Kenya can earn its money from the multiply effect of what I'm trying to say, Honorable Speaker. And that is the reason why, in this report, we want to shift our mind and say it should be the responsibility of the Kenya government to provide transport for its people. And that's why we are bringing Kenya Airways back to government, Honorable Speaker. So that is its primary responsibility. And then we ask them tomorrow, how many people have you brought to Kenya? How much are we making? Even as it struggles, we realize, Honorable Speaker, in this inquiry, that Kenya Airways is able to make more than 100 billion contribution in our economy every year, Honorable Speaker. That is where we should put our concentration, that we want you to move from making 100 billion to making 300 billion, Honorable Speaker, to our country. That is where the concentration should be, rather than then private people coming to say, then why don't we earn our money from the primary level of installation? It will make our transport very expensive, Honorable Speaker. And that is the reason why this committee is pleading with the House and the people of Kenya to understand and agree with us, Honorable Speaker, to adopt this report. And in this report, Honorable Speaker, things are going to change so that the transport comes down. There is also something I want to address as I conclude, Honorable Speaker. The issue Kenyans are saying, well, how much will nationalization cost us as a people? Isn't it not going to be very expensive? Honorable Speaker, it is not going to be more expensive than allowing or going this direction that we kill aviation sector, Honorable Speaker. Why? Because we've done our maths. The minority shareholders is about 2-3%. And those are the people who might require cash injection. And in calculation, Honorable Speaker, we asked also Treasury, we asked the people who do money mathematics. It will cost this country about 800 million, Honorable Speaker. That is something that we can say in nationalization that might be immediate. In terms of banks, Honorable Speaker, that can be converted into equity or bonds.
The Honorable question, you said how much?
About 800 million.
800 billion?
Million, not
million.
Yes.
Very well. Proceed.
Yes. 800 million. Because what was done at the Honorable Speaker? Minor shareholders, that is. And those are the ones that are trading. The bank's shares are not trading. So that can be converted into bonds, and that can be transacted within the next. We asked Treasury, and they agreed with us that yes, that can be converted into bonds. And then we can actually free KQ, Honorable Speaker, within the next 6 months. We can free it from all this burden. And now we give it a new mandate. And now our transport will be cheaper and we can be able to move. But Honorable Speaker, I want to clarify that so that people don't have a problem to say, what about if we do like this, how much will it cost the country? After all, Honorable Speaker, you know what? That 75 billion that is already committed in an event that something happens, then they pull. We are going to lose a lot of money. So why don't we make a sacrifice and have a primary investment of about 800 million, as I explained, and then we can be able to proceed, Honorable Speaker. That is the new direction that we are asking the House to agree with us and the people of Kenya to agree with us. We did extensive study, Honorable Speaker, and had a lot of people. Everybody wants us to have a better aviation. And I want us, Honorable Speaker, to look at it as an aviation, not like one installation. We want to look at it as an aviation. There was also that debate. What happens with the KAA and KQ? The primary debate, which we cleared quickly. Kenya Airways, Honorable Speaker, is making more than 70% of the revenue of Kenya Airways, of KAA. Meaning what, Honorable Speaker? Meaning, if Kenya Airways dies, then KAA will die. Automatic. KAA will die. So what does that mean? It means that they require some symbiosis relationship. And that's why we agreed. They are actually conjoined twins. That's why we agreed that let's bring them as a holding company, Honorable Speaker. And with those many remarks, or few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and ask my colleague, Honorable Kemosi Mogaga, to second me, Honorable Speaker. And I thank you for giving me this historic opportunity in aviation. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Kemosi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also second the report by the Honorable Chair. Mr. Chairman, we also, as a committee, didn't interrogate in depth how much far we can be able to bring KQ into their well-being. Mr. Chair, we did compare, we did interrogate various stakeholders, and we did find that, Mr. Chair, that KQ, or Kenya Airways, for that purpose, is indeed the pride of Africa and the pride of Kenya as a whole. Mr. Speaker, in the area 90s and area 2000, Mr. Speaker, KQ was making a lot of money in terms of profits. And indeed, Kenya Airways was earning this country a very huge revenue. But suddenly, Mr. Speaker, Kenya Airways was hampered. And that is why currently in Kenya, we do not have a carrier that really flies in major routes in Africa and the rest of the world. Mr. Speaker, as a country, Kenya Airways, or as a country, we are losing the competitiveness of KQ, and we are also losing the market share to other competing airlines like Ethiopian Airlines, Rwanda Air, Emirates, Moroccan Airlines, South African Airlines, among the few, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Ethiopian Airlines currently operates in 153 destinations, and it has a fleet of 100 aircrafts, while KQ has a fleet of about 40 aircrafts, and is only prying into helping. These days, Mr. Speaker, in the regional, in this region, Ethiopian Airlines has taken most business which was being enjoyed by the Kenya Airways in those years. Mr. Speaker, Kenya Airways, as it is today, is private owned as compared to Ethiopian Airlines, which is full owned by the government of Ethiopia, and which is enjoying full government subsidies. Unlike Kenya Airways, Mr. Speaker, the Kenya Airways does not really enjoy full government subsidies. Although they make a lot of money, Mr. Speaker, but some or most of this money goes to staff, which staff, most of the staff are expatriates. It also goes to paying, at appeals. Yes, it goes to pay bills like, paying for...
Honorable Amunyenyi, you are being disruptive. You have just walked in and you are disrupting the Honorable Kemosi when he is seconding. You cannot disrupt him. Let him have his say. The Honorable Kemosi proceed.
Yes, paying parking fees and other bills, Mr. Speaker, which can be exempted by the government of Kenya if it was full owned by the government of Kenya, and the Kenya Airways will come back to its stores. There is need, Mr. Speaker, there is need to protect our competitiveness in aviation sector, and more particularly to bring KQ into helping. This can be achieved, Mr. Speaker, through nationalization of KQ by the government buying out the shares, of the private owners, hence making KQ a national carrier as it was before. Mr. Speaker, it's recommended, and which I support, that the government establishes an aviation holding company with 4 whole-owned subsidies. That is a KKI company, Kenya Airports Authority, that is KAA company. It also establishes KQ, which will also be an independent entity, hence a national carrier. The resources from the said aviation holding company and any revenue generated by the holding company, Mr. Speaker, shall be utilized for the mutual benefit of all the subsidies, of all the 4 subsidies. By so doing, Mr. Speaker, if we have revenues that is profit generated by the aviation industry, then we are very sure that we can be able to bring Kenya Airways into profit making, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this idea of having an holding company is not new. This is something that is happening globally, Mr. Speaker. If you look at it, at Egypt, which has also a good aviation industry, they do have an holding company which manages their airports and also the airlines. The same, Mr. Speaker, applies in the United Arab Emirates, where Emirates Airlines, it's also merged together with, you know, the international airport in UAE, that is United Arab Emirates, so that the revenue that is generated is being shared between the 2 companies, that is the airline and also the airport within which those countries in which they operate. Mr. Speaker, this idea can be applicable in Kenya, and we have seen that KAA itself, it makes profits today. But if you look at how much Kenya Airways generates, they generate a lot of revenue as we stand. But most of this money that they generate, they end up in bills. So if we match the 2, Mr. Speaker, I'm quite confident that we'll be able to bring Kenya Airways into TOS and it will be making profit. Hence, we will also have an airline which can also be flying in most routes in the world and even North Africa. For those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I do second.
Mr. Speaker, and one thing that has come out very clearly was that I must...
The Honorable Sothi, try the next mic. It doesn't...
Thank you.
That one seems to be working better.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I said I've read the report, and one thing that has come out very clearly is the committee did a very good job in trying to assess the PIIP that had been proposed by KQ. But, Mr. Speaker, I have a lot of reservation when I go through the report, because KQ had proposed that we have a special purpose vehicle which is going to operate, manage, and develop JKIA for a period of 30 years. And that they are basically going to own 100% of this SPV, which basically, in other words, meant that KQ was going to take over JKIA. That is basically what it meant. So what the committee has proposed is basically what KQ had proposed. The only difference is that now the ownership is 100% Kenyan government, and SPV, the ownership was KQ, which is a private company. But, Mr. Speaker, as you have rightly pointed out, it is a major source of concern that KQ was privatized,
was a national company which was privatized, and now we are taking it back to a nationalized company. I think the committee has not been very clear on that, and that is going to send a lot of negative perception as to the success of privatization in this country. Bearing in mind, Mr. Speaker, we have had companies which, public companies which have been doing so well, and they collapsed as soon as they were privatized. One example is Mumias Sugar Company. Mumias Sugar Company was doing so well as a public company, but the moment it was privatized, it is now down. We are seeing the same scenario with KQ. But if you go through the report, and this I want to agree with the committee, it highlights reasons why KQ is not performing well. My question is, if the reasons why KQ is not performing well are very clear in the report, then why do we want to nationalize again? Why can't we deal with those reasons? One reason is that compared to other countries in the region, like Ethiopia, Rwanda, and the others, we are still charging landing fees.
The Honorable Sotse, I know you are going to go the whole remit of 10 minutes.
Yes.
But we have reached the time where we have to call it a day.
Thank you.
You will have the member for Sotik. What is out of order?
Mr. Speaker, there is nothing out of order. I just wanted to lend us a few minutes for us to continue. I know it is that may be out of order, Mr. Speaker. But we were planning to contribute. I know it is out of order, but please, let's make history today.
The Honorable Koske, you have said it, you are out of order, and this is a house of order, this is a house of record, this is a house of rules. It knows when to rise and when to sit. So we cannot extend just because the Honorable Koske thinks that he wishes to speak today. Tomorrow you will have an opportunity. The Honorable Swatse, you will have 6 minutes when this matter is set down for consideration again, and you'll have priority at that time. Honorable members, the time being 7 p.m., this House stands adjourned till Thursday, 4th July 2019 at 2:30 p.m.